Yo, good morning, Annie. How you doing, Chief? Yeah, doing very well actually. Obviously this is what was it, Saturday, Sunday. So it's fourth sleep with the pup, and I'm now getting like a minimum of 5 hours each time, which is great. I don't think I'm gonna be as tired with this one as all the rest. Obviously, you can massively change though. Hey, good morning, Joe. Yeah, I mean he's settling in super fast, like at rapid pace. And in the 5 days we've had there's only been 3 accidents in the house, and that's just purely because I didn't under. Well, first of all, he's never been house trained. This is the first house he's been in because he was a stable bred. Um, and for the first like couple of days, I didn't know what his telltale signs were for wanting to go to the toilet. So 0 accidents in the past 2 days. Goes to sleep. He's now sitting down in his crate a little bit better. Nighttime, he's sleeping on the bed without jumping down. I think he can jump down, but I don't think he can jump up. Goes out to the toilet, cleans his feet when he comes back in. It's pretty crazy, like, and I've not even taught him this stuff. Seems to be adapting really, really fast. It means I should, I was like, stressed I wasn't going to be able to stream many hours for the next couple of weeks, but I think it's going to be where I can probably get back to doing like 4 or 5 hour streams. Obviously, I still need to wait till. So it'll be 9 weeks on 29th, 10, 11, 12. So the 19th of November is when I can take, oh no, because he's, what, he was 8 there, 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah. So we still have like 3 weeks on Saturday before I can take him out on the ground. So plenty of backpacking anyway. Yeah, we should be finished it today, and then we'll be. I'm kind of hoping that I time this to be back playing Star Citizen when it's 24 hours jump town at Clope. Because I just fucking hate Yala and Lyria. Especially Lyria. It's just not fun. I'm so bored of everyone going at 1,000 meters a second in atmosphere. But since we've been flying around in the Saber, it means we can go to Calliope and Saber and shoot people. But so, hopefully I'll be in that. Hoping it's tomorrow, so that would be 2 days streaming with it. But I don't know the schedule. Pretty sure Fresh gave me it. Na 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 na. Yeah, here we go. So we've got, what is it? Jump Town is Tuesday to Thursday. Oh no, it's Tuesday to Wednesday. So the next Jump Town is on Thursday. Oh no, that actually works then, yeah. Oh, it's actually when it finished. Okay, Friday then. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, Microtech is so much better. I wish, and this is just me personally, I wish that they would move the jump towns to, uh, like, Daymar, Microtech, and Hearthstone. Because then it would be just some of the best locations, I think, for actually doing combat until the new flight changes come in. I was looking forward to SBK changes, but I'm actually dreading it because of how fast everything's gonna be. Kind of feel like the SPK stuff should have been brought in when 4.0 was brought in. Yeah, Yella's horrible. Yella, not so much for the speed, it's the fact you can't fucking see the pip at all. And it's the same with Lyria. I hate these bright white, blue kind of areas. We need so many changes. Ooh, a week today is when I became a partner on YouTube. Holy moly. Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Michael the TheDarkLaw, and welcome to another episode of The Darkness here on Twitch. It is the Wednesday, 26th of October 22, day 161 in a row. Very, very close. We're like down to, what's it here? My brain goes screwy with this. 24 days to go. Obviously, I am doing 3 days over the exact time, just to make sure nobody can be like, me. And then, yeah. I'm trying to see if I can continue on, but obviously I'm going to change out, like I'm going to have dedicated days, and then I'm going to have like the bonus streams, which would be like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and if I just feel tired, because again, we're coming into snow season here, and I kind of want to be able to go hiking in the snow, especially with Nyx, Nova, and so Nova, Nyx would be, let's see, so he's... Would he be that? So November 27th, he's going to be 3 months, 4 months. He might be of a decent size to be able to deal with the snow. Snow goes up to like 3 foot. Maybe a lot of bounding anyway. He's still too short for snow. It depends, like if he gets a leg stretch, then maybe. Yeah, so a year ago, obviously, I was banned on Twitch for swearing, saying shank and cunt towards an NPC at SBK. And this was to do with a Toby deal, so I had the mature mode set off. I completely forgot I was in the thing, and as I was role-playing a psychopath at SBK killing NPCs, a lot of people who are unaware that they were NPCs report bombed me, and I got banned on Twitch permanently. And then after showing stuff with Twitch staff, it got changed to 30 days, and then they fucked up even more by taking my subscriber badge away from me for like 6 days. So everyone lost their substreaks, and I took a rage and went to YouTube for 6 months. So that was like at the end. So today or next week marks a year since we got partner. We literally got YouTube partner from fucking nothing to partner in like a month, which was crazy, right? A lot of help from everyone watching VODs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a year. And obviously I plan to do a lot more YouTube content, but until YouTube like massively work on their stream platform, I would never even consider going back. I do miss the 1:40 streams because it let you see how clean the thing is. Also, Twitch throttles my internet for some reason. Because I can literally do 4K streams on my up and download, but for some reason Twitch throttles it. Don't know why. Even when I'm only doing like 6,000 bitrate. It's mental. Because I was literally doing 15,000 bitrate on the same internet on YouTube. It didn't even fluctuate ever. It's crazy. I don't know what Twitch do with that. But yeah, so that marks a year. And I do have a lot of stuff coming up. If no joke, if CIG can do private lobby arena commander with like an actual like microtech map, oh my god, the amount of content I'm going to be able to pump out is going to be insane. And especially stuff that nobody does right now. But I just need those things. I would love to be able to do it. I can do it in 4.0. But I can't do it until everyone is slowed down and they change the weapons and stuff. But yeah, today we're going to continue on with Answer the Call. We've been watching it for the past... This will be the third day. Hosted by Salty Mike on his channel. He does this every Sunday, and the guests are Agent Lady, who is the leader of the Mongrel Squadron. We have Virgil, who's the leader of Shadow Moses, and Jonathan Winters, who I think is a part of... Why do I always struggle with this one? Again, I've got Thunderbirds in my head. What the fuck? Who are they called again? And I'm not doing this as memeing. I generally have... For some reason, I had Thunderbirds in my head. And it's not. It's... I'm not even going to look at chat. I'm going to try and work this one. Liberty Reapers. There we go. Why the fuck do I struggle to figure this one out? Then we have Vesperia on the line, who is Hannah, who's part of Mongrel Squadron, and Space Cutlet, who's also a pirate. And as Virgil said on the last show, when we were watching the video, it was getting a bit too much on about piracy. Jonathan Winters looks fucking bored, because again, it's just sort of turned to how do pirates fucking stop players and shit like that, Thundercats. Man, I wouldn't mind, like, an anime Thundercats. You know, like, not really anime, but you guys know the movie Spider-Man Into the Verse. You know that kind of artwork? I would love for somebody to start working on old 80s cartoons in that style, right? Like Thundercats, put in some fucking... Even Gummy Bears, you know what I mean? They could update it. But like Mask... And then Ulysses 31. Oh, it'd be so good if they could redo those things. Also movies as well. I generally feel that Marvel should stop doing live actions and move into animation, right? Because no joke, their animations for What If were flawless. Absolutely flawless. And you can do much more cooler things than fucking old fusty actors on a blue screen, you know? It's like, animation should be way better, or more used these days. Hands down. It's also cheaper to do, and it's better for everything, because instead of building big fucking sets, you just have artists having free reign, you know? Anyway, let's continue on with this. So like I said, those are Salty's guests. Salty is the host. It's been a really good show, but as I said yesterday, I just kind of feel like we're now at the stage in this podcast where it's just droning on far too much about piracy. And as I've been saying for the last couple of days, if anybody's just tuning in, I kind of feel like it should have been Letty or Hannah or Space Cutlet, because obviously Salty Mike asked lots of pirate people to do it. Letty turned up. The other two shouldn't be a part of it. Sorry to Hannah and Cutlet if they're watching this. I just feel like it's too much pirate. Virgil, and then sadly, no offense to Jonathan Winters, I wanted somebody who was from the trading side of the game. Not somebody that does the attacking, but more the defending and running and how they would interpret this kind of thing. Somebody who maybe want to plan do salvaging and stuff like that. I kind of feel like it's just too centered around PvPers, and I'm more looking at somebody that would do PvE, defending and running, and how they are looking for the new flight model to be and stuff like that, you know? That's just me personally. I feel like, obviously, the guests are doing a really good job answering their questions. I just wish there was a bit more diversity instead of 3 pirates and 2 PvPer, like, killer groups. You know what I mean? Who fight each other, org versus org. There's not enough diversity into trading, industrial area. And obviously, Mike can cover that from mining. But as a host, you can't really talk about it. So that would have been if we were to do... Mike was talking about a re-show, right? When it actually comes out. I hope if he watches this or somebody tells him, try and have it from every side of the table. Not just everyone who does the attacking. I would love to hear it from the defenders and the runners, basically, you know? Anyway, let's continue. Salty, good day to you, Chief. Hope you're well. Ebo as well. Welcome in. I think I've caught up with everyone. Yeah, welcome, guys. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Let's continue on.
Yeah. Like, imagine a dogfight where like you see everyone on your radar, you know, like you're not quantum jumping to go help out your friend and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous.
I want to jump Jonathan into the conversation a little bit, just you know, now we're more on the topic of PvP rather than piracy a bit. is the idea of with the slower speeds, the player being on your camera, like you're mentioning, and how easy or hard do you think it'll be to have it stay that way? Like, I don't know. I feel like when I fought before, I almost never used uh the lag pip because I was always fighting and shooting at just a lead pip the whole time because I'm fighting against people that are zooming around all over the place.
Right, so me personally, and this again is me personally, I wish they would get rid of lead pip and just leave it lag. Because one of the biggest issues in this game is that lead pip teaches you to chase a pip instead of watching how the ship is flying. So all you see is basically the direction they're going from the pip, and maybe if they're like doing certain things. But lag, actually teaches you to watch your opponent. So for a better dogfighting experience, just like it is in Modern Warfare, it's better to have it where you lag the pip over the target to shoot instead of fucking, you're still shooting forward on the crosshair, but you know what I mean. Most of the time it's not a lead system, it's a lag system. And I think this would be way better for bringing it into where everyone starts flying around and actually dogfighting or focusing on flight itself instead of just chasing a pip like a rabid dog. Jonas, how you doing, Chief? I'm doing well, thank you for asking. How are you? And it's the same with like decouple couple topic as well. I kind of feel like CSGG should just make a coupled mode that has the sort of drifting effect of decouple and just stop having these switch modes, right? So you would have lag pip and you would just have one flight system that behaves in between couple and decouple, and that's it. And just get rid of this whole nonsense, because in planes and stuff like that, you don't fucking change to decouple. And I know it's a space thing and all that stuff, but it's the same with fucking spaceships. They're always decoupled. They don't have the ability to fucking couple. They have like, some sort of focus on the computers and stuff, but that's only in the autopiloting stage, when it's doing all its stuff.
And everything like that. And how do you, because as an inexperienced pilot, I was never effective or good at staying close to the person I was fighting against. They were always getting away easily from me. I was struggling to catch up to them, and then it turned into these, because I was slamming down on my pedals, basically trying to catch up. Now we're just fighting at insane speeds. How do we think that's going to change?
It'd be better.
You're going to have a little bit less distances being brought out into a fight, but I think we're still going to have the same thing.
Okay.
And the reason has to do, again, with acceleration.
Yeah.
But what people need to learn, it's something I've taught a lot. It has to do with lead pip. If you understand the lead pip and you understand its direction, it actually gives you vector information, which allows you to do something called pip neutralization. Basically, what I'm going to demonstrate with something.
Okay. Oh,
Let's
you
say,
muted.
for example,
Oh, there you're not. Now you're not.
Yeah, sorry. Let's say, for example, you have two ships.
Does he have models?
I can't really push the talk and do this at the same time, but what I'm going to say is when one ship, the blue ship is going to be the ship, and the red ship is going to be the vector. If you neutralize, you're putting the vector on top of the ship. So that gives you a relative motion, showing that there is no directional speed change between the two ships, because they're both going to be moving in one direction.
At least he's not doing like an Avenger 1 droid,
it allows you to push forward or push back easier. Now, because
I really like Jonathan Winter's tutorials on YouTube. They're really, really good for brand new players to learn.
He has to face you if he wants to know what you're doing. If he's facing you, it's going to be easier to push on that ship and stay on that ship. Now, a pilot that wants nothing to do with you is going to keep his ship pointed in another direction, and he's going to keep trying to move the pip away so that you cannot get closer to him. So that will always be a thing. Okay. The difference is people who are trying to run will not be effective in combat.
Okay, so Jonathan Winters is correct to a certain degree, but what he also is forgetting is that right now the calculations in our flight model are scuffed. Really fucking scuffed. So when he calls it like, I call it pip manipulation, he calls it, I can't remember what he just said there, right? But the idea is that you scuff your pip to basically be defensive, and then if you're actually trying to aim on somebody, it becomes very neutral, right? Or he called it neutralizing, right? Now, in the new flight model, we can't take in the idea of, he's looking at it that all the features that we have right now go into 4.0. This is incorrect. This is where, again, everyone is speculating the wrong sort of mentality. They keep thinking everything that we know of Star Citizen right now is going to go into 4.0. And this is where I keep coming back to people. Fight in Hurston atmosphere, and this is where you're going to see the dampening effect. The closest of imagine on how this is going to be. Microtech fighting, Calliope fighting, Hurston, ArcCorp, Crusader. These are the only locations where you can't do what he's talking about. Because there is no atmosphere, there is only dampening in effect on certain ships. So depending on which height you go into on these maps, determines how your thrusters actually work if you don't know the flight system or the model itself. Now they're doing a whole new model, a whole new system. So you might not even be able to do what he's saying in 4.0. It might be where literally it only shows your forward vector, not your horizontals or anything like that. So this is where, again, I point back to where we should just be having lag pip. People are forced to use lag pip, and you just watch the direction people are going, because we're going to be closer than we are just now. And this is a big, big issue where everyone is speculating on the information that everything that we've had for numerous amount of years is going to go into the system. It's not. Calculations are fucked right now because the system is off. When you go into a system that calculates it right, you're not going to be able to make that pip go wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. It's just going to follow your horizontal, your forward direction, basically. Because it's the same thing in like modern day fighting and stuff. Again, if you imagine you've only got the ability to go forward fast and everything else is dampened, you're not able to wiggle that pip. And especially when you're going backwards, it's going to be even slower. So you imagine that that pip is only going to be calculating the forward thrust, because everything else is on a dampening effect. So you're only going to be able to extend it out forward and backward depending on your speed. You're not going to be able to make it go up and fucking down and shit like that, because you just don't have the power to do it with the way they're describing the SAM changes. So again, Jonathan Winters is correct right now, but for 4.0, it might be right, it might be wrong. It all depends on how they calculate that pip. Hey, Game Daddle, thank you very much for the 41 months! Woo! Amazing, dude. Fucking crazy, like, 41 months. Support! I appreciate that. Blasty, welcome and chief. Pogachamp. Does it say Pogachamp? Even though it's like... Yeah. Good day, guys. Good day. Welcome in. So yeah, he is correct in one way, but also it all depends on how they calculate the pip in the future, which would mean that everything he's just said here is also incorrect. This is why, again, anytime you see any of these videos or anything that I say to you, anybody says, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, speculation, theory crafting. It might not be how it is, you know. Puppeteer, good day, chief.
Oh yeah, very good point. Okay. Yeah, totally understand. Because if I can't backstrafe at the same speed or more than I'm going forward, I can't fight in that scenario. Where right now people are just going backwards and fighting at the same time and remaining in control of the situation and running at the same time. Okay, interesting.
And they're nerfing that,
exactly.
right? Like, that's coming with debuffs, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's going to be like black, we don't know what that looks like. It's going to be blackout, red out, you know, like...
Left, right, up, down, backwards are all going to have negative effects. Now, depending on how they do the G's and stuff like that, it means that you will be, whoever has a bad habit of going backwards right now, you're fucked when this comes out. If you behave more like a jet fighter right now and play with more angles, you're in a much better state than somebody that has created bad habits in Arena Commander. Obviously, somebody who spends a lot of time in Arena Commander is going to be able to spend a few weeks and they're back on page. But I'm talking about the people that are not Arena Commander pilots and all they know is to backstrafe. These people are so done when this fucking change comes in, because it forces you to go forward into attack patterns, and the moment you go backwards, you are going to be turtling at very, very slow speeds. And if you're in a ship that doesn't have gunners and stuff like that, you could be in a very bad situation, depending on how they do the negative effects. But all we all know right now is it's like dampening. So you go to Hurston and watch how it works, and then imagine a negative effect on going backwards on Hurston. You're pretty much stationary kind of thing. Because I still maintain the best thing for CIG to do would be where you can backstrafe at a certain speed, but you can't use afterburner, right? So no afterburner for backstrafing. And the only way to slow down when going forward would be to use space brake or air brake, depending on what they want to call it, brake basically. And that would allow you to brake fast for bigger ships, right? This would be a really cool system. So reverse thrusting is basically like when you've got a carrier, right? If you ever watch a carrier coming into port, you know, these things can drift, by the way. Go on YouTube and look up drifting carrier. And you have a fucking dude literally doing like a fucking Tokyo drift around the corner with a fucking $1 billion carrier just for the fucking shits and giggles. These things can go incredibly powerful, like fast forward. But when they're turning, they're so fucking slow. And when they're reversing, they're even slower because the propellers just can't pull. They can push really well, but they can't pull. So that's why you bring in tugs to push into port and put it into place. And it's the same thing with bigger ships in Star Citizen. It should be where you fucking can go pretty fast forward. But when you're wanting to slow down, it should be where you have to come gradually to a halt. And if you want to reverse, it's basically just like a parking reverse instead of a full, you know, full speed backwards kind of thing. And if anyone goes, oh, but you can do it in space, fuck space, all right? This is a video game. Every time we have this debate about, oh, you should be able to go backwards the same speed as going forwards, up and down, it doesn't work, all right? Because Star Citizen designed ships around looking like fucking fighters, and the best way to be would be where every ship looks like a caterpillar with big engines on the front, big engines on the side, big engines on the fucking thing. You know what I mean? It's just caked in engines and it just fucking spins around like a big cylinder kind of thing. Braking fast, especially with big ships, is going to rely on turning the fuck around and using main thrusters to burn. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Because you're not going to be able to turn around fast in these ships, Jonas. It's not. You don't see, like I said, you don't see a fucking carrier coming in fast, handbrake turning 180 and using its propeller to... It gradually slows down at distance. Just like a plane. Just like anything that has mass and weight, it has to slow down. It can't just fucking decouple, spin around on the fucking dot and push forward. It won't be like this in new model because, again, even with decouple, even in space, you're going to be dampened when you use your side thrusters up and down and reversing. So if you want to spin around in 180 and push forward, you're most likely going to crash into something because you're out of control in that point. The idea is as you're approaching Grim Hex, you start to slow the fuck down way ahead and come into port with your gunners able to fucking protect you in that situation. That's just how it's going to be. It's how it used to be in Star Citizen.
Is your character going to get dizzy? But the fact that they're going to be punishing people for flying backwards but trying to remain offensive, I think is like, you know, it shows at least that they know where the issues are. You know, everyone complains about backstrafing. Well, you know, they're fixing that, or they plan to combat that, and that's good, right? Because
finally,
you get a lot of
1,000
people.
meter-second constellations.
You get these people that are always like, oh, you know, this is sixth off, this is space, you know, you know, our modern fighters can fly faster than this and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's got to be a video game.
It's a video game.
It's got to be fun. It's got to work.
I still think they should make it 340
right now,
though,
like,
right?
Yeah, people just backstrafe and stuff. So the fact that this flight
at least going forward
that into account.
And I would please CIG just make it where 340 is like the maximum or something like that. It's just feels so silly that you can't calculate. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had an issue of people in atmosphere. It's always because of the other cheesy things that you can do right now, especially on Hurston. But 340 definitely feels like you should be able to achieve at least in the game, you know. Really just don't bring it where it goes over 500.
Let me talk about this a little bit because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to backstrafing. A lot of people consider backstrafing to be just reversing the whole time and getting away from the ship, but there's actually two ways of looking at backstrafing. If you think of backstrafing as just getting away from the target, there's the other direction, which is strafing up and left or right, which is tricording.
Salty
what ends
Mike
up
just
happening
fucking
is
zooms him
when
in.
you're
What
engaged
the
in
fuck
mid-range
is he
combat, if we talk about someone like A1 who he does what's called fighting in the funnel, which is basically using corkscrews. It's using positional advantage. by
What the
changing
fuck,
directions of
dude?
these corkscrews. He's a mid-range fighter. And even though he doesn't backstrafe or he doesn't acknowledge backstrafing, what he does do a lot is he upstrafes and tricords. And that creates distance. It's not necessarily the same as just holding reverse throttle, but it's still a way to control that distance. I don't think that's going to change much.
If you can't do it, then it is going to change. They literally said with the new system that you are dampened the moment you go in a direction that's not forward. So if you go left and try to go right, it's dampened just like an atmosphere. You can't tricord in fucking hard atmosphere right now in Star Citizen because it has this dampen effect already in place. It doesn't have aerodynamics. It has a dampen effect. So what Jonathan's saying here is massively incorrect because they've already stated that you're not going to be able to fucking shift around going left and right in tricord. You might be able to tricord once, but you're going to be in a negative effect where you can't do it again. It's not the once you do it, it's the continued amount of fucking bouncing around that fucks the calculations up. And backstrafing is a big problem because it's not necessarily people flying backwards, it's the ship going backwards causes the same effect. You literally, as your ship is going backwards, even if you're upstrafing and going to the left, you're rotating back on the axes as somebody's pushing you, and you have this bonus effect that they have in place right now. It's not necessarily that somebody is going backwards, it's the fact that you use less afterburner when you're moving backwards, even in atmosphere. We literally saw this the other day there where I was accusing somebody of backstrafing, but when we actually looked at the evidence, the ship is falling backwards and he had so much advantage over me because of it. So it's not just pulling backwards and afterburning that's the effect, it's the whole ship moving in a backwards axis. You know, if somebody strafes backwards, whatever, yeah, they have a slight advantage, but you can get around them and start pepper spraying them because there's no desync now from going backwards at speed. But the problem is you have the advantage of movement going while somebody's pushing forward and you're going like this, right? You're literally fucking moving around as they're trying to go forward. They're using 50% more afterburning than you. So whoever fucking mini backstrafes or makes their ship move backwards has the advantage. And that's what needs to be addressed.
But what is going to change is people who know how to turn their ship nose in a direction that cuts the pip or neutralizes the pip and allows them to use their much stronger rear thrust to push closer to the opponent. This is where we're going to see a lot of change in combat, where things like knife fighting is going to become more prevalent. And I'm sure Virgil is well aware of knife fighting. I know Shadow Moses is one of their primary focuses. I know a lot of guys in there like Raiden.
Why is Salty playing with the camera again? Poor Jonathan Winters. Salty's not like barely paying attention, and he's just fucking moving the camera around.
And you know, again, that's all Liberty Reapers does. They knife fight, and it's something we want to focus on and we want to get better at. Because when you're forced to close range combat, if you don't understand
fucking perfectionist, man,
use your vector and change your vector direction, you're going to struggle in PvP.
Yeah. A lot of the, like, Winner's got a point, right? Like, a lot of the game design, it exists in there already, you know, pre 300, and then the game falls apart the second you start going over those speeds. Like, once you go over SCM or kind of a bit deeper than
he zoomed out. I don't know what Salty Mike was doing. I kind of felt like it was fine, you know.
I think Winner's right. Absolutely. I like the idea that they're gonna punish retreating, but also, like, you know, trapping and playing offensively too, which is essentially like, you know, using momentum, riding backwards with that momentum, and then also being offensive so that, you know, that they're flying right where you want them to, and you've got no consequence besides.
What you will most likely find, and obviously we don't know if they're deciding to do the upstrafe high one, because they've got two versions right now. And I've seen what Yogi and Winters have replied. So the first version of 4.0 has all the same things, but obviously faster forward, but they've left it where upstrafe is more powerful than downstrafe. And in the other one, they've got them balanced. Now, if they make it where they're balanced, it will massively change the way people fly. You're not going to be using upstrafe and fucking keeping it at a certain angle and all these sort of things. Most likely what you will actually do is like an aerial combat where, say for example, you're in a merge turn or something like that, you're going to cut your speed. So as somebody's coming in and they're like, oh, they're focused on your speed and they're like, right, they're afterburn, you cut your speed, and instead of you being like sort of here and somebody is coming down it like that, right, you would then be here. So when they cut, they come in front of you, and then you reverse roll into behind them. And this is where I think more combat will be situated in, where you are sitting on somebody's ass more than doing the knife fighting, flying past each other and constantly doing like merges and jousts and stuff like that. It'll be more where you go into 1 and 2 circle combat. Because again, if there's a dampening effect on all thrusters apart from forward thrust, it forces you to have to keep going forward and into your turns, drifting round. You're not going to be able to tricord as much as people think you're going to be able to do. You'll be able to maybe move in 3 axes, but you're not going to be able to just instantly get fucking high G acceleration, because that's the problem right now with tricording. It's not necessarily moving in 3 axes, it's the fact that you get quadruple the fucking amount of G's for turning. So when somebody's only using like a few axes, 2 or 3 axes, and you know how to tricord all the fucking time, your whole flight is tricording, you can get into different positions that they can't do because you're accelerating way faster than they can do, even in the same ship. Go to hard atmosphere, you can't do this shit. And when you see people, Puppeteer, Fresh, everyone in my group knows this. The moment you see somebody trying this shit, they literally go fucking stationary. Because you can't fucking tricord in hard atmosphere. You can only maybe do it once to throw off the pip after that, but you're so slow whilst you do it. If you're going in this falling backward thing, on Daymar it's a little bit different because it's very light compared to these places. So again, just go to hard atmosphere and you will have a sort of glimpse at what we're going to be having in space all the time. And this is the biggest thing that a lot of people are going to have to let go of. That they're so used to using tricord as their advantage, or going backwards, or having the ship move in a backwards sphere movement, that you're fucked. You're fucked. You're going to, like, again, the easiest way to see how flight will be is imagine DCS or Flight Simulator or any game like that, but with the ability to literally move in a few more axes. But it doesn't mean you're going to be able to move those axes very fast. They could nerf them into the ground and make it where you have to basically pre-turn and let flight move you around and stuff. It's very interesting, where I still think a lot of people just speculate way too much on that what you're able to do right now is going to be what you can do in the future, but slower. You're not. Because again, they want to get rid of all this cheese. They want to get rid of the tricording, backstrafing, fucking pip calculation shitery that's in Star Citizen right now.
It's reversing into an asteroid.
Because we never had this before 3.0. The moment they started fucking around with the flight model more and more and more, you know, and you can see elements of desync and stuff in 3.4, but everyone had the ability to move in every direction at high speed, you know? And when you don't have that ability, you can't make the same movements that you have just now. So if you can only do, like, say you do 22 Gs forward, but you only do 4 up, you're not tricording anymore. You're more going forward than to the left and the right at high speed. Because you'll have this dampening effect. Again, go to hard atmosphere. You'll literally see you can't do these fucking weird things.
How does decoupled play into all this, do we think? It's kind of the unknown right now.
You know,
That's
I have a
hot
big
topic.
question on decoupled. I'm curious, if the devs ever watch this, please freaking answer this. If we decouple and we boost and let go of boost, will we keep our maximum speed, or are we going to get slowed down to whatever our SCM speed is? Because that would change a lot when it comes to combat.
Yeah. I think
We are going to get slowed down. They've said that. There was something on Shadow Moses Discord that they literally said they're going. Somebody mentioned, where is it here? there's gonna be a bit of a fucking scroll back to find it. I need to find where like Winters and Yogi were talking about. They literally said that the moment you go over SAM speed in any direction, you're going to slow down. Back to SAM speed. Because Ondo was asking some questions in the same sort of line. Yeah, here we go. Winter said, and quote, going back to SEM mode, either voluntary or not, will always bring you back to SEM speeds. This literally answers what Jonathan was saying. You tricord, you decouple, and you go over the speed of SEM, you're going to come back to SEM speed. And there was 6 pluses here where people, and even Agents Letty upvoted on this one. Or thumbed up it, basically. So yeah, literally wherever direction you go to, any direction, any status, the moment that you go over SEM speed and you let go of boost or you run out of boost, you will return back to SEM speed. No, it won't be. Well, it will be, but are you meaning where people will be shifting into QCM? Because you don't need to go go over SEM speed, you don't need to go into QCM, by the way. You only do that if you want to accelerate up to 1,000. Because you can afterburner over SEM speed. The difference is that when you let go of afterburner or run out of it, you can't regen it until you come back into under SEM speed or SEM and under because your capacitors turn back on. That's the method of it. So you don't have to always go into QCM. You can use afterburner to escape. And the great thing about it is you're going to be using less afterburner if it only affects like some certain thrusters.
We're getting slowed down.
My
Yeah,
guess
mine
is
too.
too. I'm hoping not, but that's
certainly.
my guess as well.
That's the one like major question I think would have been answered on SCL if they were there
Yeah, you can.
this week.
So imagine you're on Daymar, right? And an arrow can do 800 meters a second in a straight line with full afterburner. So you get it up to maximum SEM speed right now. And then you let go of SEM lock and you afterburn, you can get up to like 700, 800 meters a second. You're still going to be able to do that in the new fly model. The difference is the moment you let go, you have no afterburner to evade and you have to wait till you come back into SEM before it regens. Now you could pulse it, I suppose, but if you imagine you're traveling at that speed and you don't have afterburner and maybe you're having to navigate something around, you're pretty fucked. You're drifting at that stage. And that will be even worse in space. So there will always be a way to go over SEM speed. You don't have to go into QCM. You just have to understand the logic that they actually said, which is when you go over SEM speed, capacitor stops working, which means that you still have the ability to use it, you just don't have the ability to regen these things. So you're still able to go at higher speeds. The difference is you just can't defend, attack, and navigate at the same time whilst doing it. You have to sort of prioritize where you want to go with it. And if you go into QCM to go faster, right? Because there's no afterburner that's going to carry you up, you know, and they might tweak it, for example. Right now, say the arrow can do 800. In the future, you might only have enough afterburner to maybe go 500, 600, who knows? Again, we have no idea until we actually get in our hands or they actually give us a proper demonstration on things, right? So again, everything boils back to speculation, theory crafting, that we just don't know, so there's no need to panic too much just yet for people who obviously don't fly around and do things.
Wait, can I ask Winters now? If you're saying your hope it's not, right?
I'm hope it's not what.
You're saying your hope it's not our speed is not gonna get decreased.
Yes.
But then the whole point of moving, like putting the speeds down, is ruined.
Yeah, but we're still not going above probably 500, which is still
No,
decent.
that's you're not going about like 500. People will be going maximum they can.
No.
in
I'm
that
not
mode.
saying. I'm not saying we should be able to hit like ridiculous amounts. We know
Not
that
QCM.
yeah,
SCM
we know
with boost.
Yeah, we're not saying QCM. We're saying in SCM mode, there's still another cap. There's two caps. There's a boost cap and there's an SCM
Yeah, there's
cap.
a boost cap and there's a SCM cap.
Yeah,
but then,
you shouldn't.
Yeah,
you
so
shouldn't
you're
pass the boost
decoupled.
cap.
If you're decoupled, you're stuck at the normal cap, and then you boost the couple, you go up to the new boost cap.
Yeah,
and you don't go
It's-
down. That means like the decoupled will be the only valid way to fight. Like if you're uncoupled, you're in a constant disadvantage.
Correct, but
It's
that's how
almost
it
like
is
that
right now
already.
too. If
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are very like, oh, pro couple this. No, couple sucks, and the reason for it is
Yep.
because your ship is being forced to slow down, so it's easier to shoot you and it's harder to change directions.
I think they'll still make it where you slow down, even in decouple. Because again, we get to this stage, right? If they have this, what they're talking about, if they have it where you go, and this is a big if, right? Because obviously K Winters has already said that you slow the fuck down. But if they actually allow this, there would be no point in having the two flight modes. You might as well just have one flight mode that's in between the two of them, and again, get rid of stuff like that, you know? Couple sucks. Yeah, I know. I don't understand why again, I don't think these guys fly in atmosphere, Anu, right? You know? I generally don't think, because if they come into decouple in fucking Hurston versus me in couple, they'll drift and slow the fuck down, and I'll just beam them down, you know? And I'm not that good. But you in hard atmosphere, you use couple over decouple, because you can't wiggly tricord nonsense. So I think it's just an arena commander thing where you're all with, like, they're stating like couple and decouple, you know. Well, couple is there for new players. It doesn't apply to us veterans. I know, but again, it's always better to throw people in at the deep end, puppeteer, and make them learn how to control their speed, right? You know, it's like the same thing as when you're trying to teach a kid how to use a bike. Just take the fucking training wheels off, push it, and hope for the fucking best. Cover it in pads, and if it falls over, there we go, you know? But it's like, you don't want to have advantages in these flight systems. What you should be having is just basically a bit more freedom of movement. Turning the computer off or turning the computer on. Not, I get a huge boost in fucking speed because I'm doing it manually, you know? Deep End, my friend, quit. Deep End made my friend quit in the first 2 days trying to land at people. Then that's good, right? Then we don't have people who are crashing into people. But yeah, like, again, this is so much speculation.
It will make the gap even bigger.
They also said,
which I think it's a good thing because we want a high skill ceiling for PvP, right? That's what makes PvP fun in the long run. Because if you have something like Elite Dangerous where you play for a week and you're pretty goddamn good already, that's it. The game gets boring.
I mean, why not remove then coupled mode overall?
Well, coupled mode is a good way to learn the ship,
It's
right?
training
a good
wheels,
way
brother.
Yeah, it's training wheels, and it's a good way to fly in a different style. Like you don't always have to have decoupled. You may not want it for.
What you want to do is shit on people who are in couple mode whilst you've mastered decouple mode. That's the nitty gritty of it, by the way. You know what I mean? You want a bigger skill ceiling? Yeah, sure. But you also want to shit the fuck on people who use couple mode because you've mastered decouple, right?
For certain things that you're doing, like
Because if somebody actually wanted a high skill ceiling and stuff like that, you would just make it where there's one flight system, one weapon system, one fucking ship. You know what I mean? But the moment you have any advantage over other players, you want to be able to master a mode that shits on like 5 space dads who fly in couple mode because they've not had time to master decouple, and you want to be able to nip in between them all at slow speeds and gank the fuck out of him. That's the reality of when I listen to an arena commander talk about, you know what I mean, you like have a high skilling ceiling. Because they literally want it where they can do it. Cutlet looks from the point of everyone. Just get rid of the system. You know? Just make it where literally it is one flight system and people will learn it faster where they're not using the training wheels.
like mining. I would rather.
Same with swimming. You just throw them in at the deep end and you get ready to jump in afterwards. You don't fucking put them in a paddling pool and shit like that. Just wrap them in fucking flotation devices and throw them in and make them go underwater and fucking learn how to swim. We literally can swim out of the fucking womb, out of the vajayjay, and fucking float around like it's nothing when we're attached to the umbilical cord. We already know how to do these things. But then people fucking go, oh no, go into the shallow end and have a little splash. Fuck that shit. Throw them in, make them learn how to do it. Worked for dogs, it works for humans, it works for everyone. It's the same thing with Star Citizen. Make people jump in at the deep end, and if they can't grasp it, fuck them.
Rather be coupled for mining.
There's been times in the past where it was like really good.
Just use SEM locks and stuff.
Would beat decoupled because you were so much tighter. Like you could orbit people tighter and stuff like that. You weren't as.
And I think that also came down to how people used to fight. Like if we go back to 3.14, where it was more like Quake Wars. Like people were so fast, and you can change direction so quickly that it became about like who would land shots.
That's the problem with games these days, like the meme I posted for Ace Combat and DCF.
I'm still not buying for now. Again, that is my complete.
See, Cutler is a man of thinking, not just from the end of like advanced PvP groups that fight each other, you know?
Opinion. I'm not saying I'm right here, but I think it will just move the speed ceiling.
For me, it's just memorizing theories here and there and putting them all together to sound cool.
I'm still buying it, but again, that's me.
Again, the speed thing is we're looking at it like what we're used to now, where we're seeing people go to 1,200 and we can't catch them. The thing is, if you know how to pip neutralize and you know how to read players, you can catch them at these ridiculous speeds. Just look at Carthu wall pilots. You're not getting away from a Carthu. Like it's not happening.
For sure. I understand that.
And I think if we have 500 ms, I think as long as desync is not an issue at 500 ms or lower, then it shouldn't matter. Because the issue right now is we get to 1,200 and your shots never fucking land. That's the issue.
Yeah, but wait, are you?
It's not the only issue.
Combat at 500? Is that what you're getting at?
Say again, what?
Are you pushing for decoupled to be able to stretch past the SCM in combat? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. I mean,
He is. He's literally saying, and obviously Winters can come in and speak to me about this, but he is literally saying, I want a mode that shits on people who don't know how to fly. That's in so many words. That's from somebody who, I'm not going to bullshit people here. That's what it sounds like to me. I want a mode that breaks the speed so I can go fast and fuck you, and you have no chance of escaping because I've learned this system. I want to be able to take on more people who don't know how I'm flying, so I can shit on more people. That's the problem with fucking people that do AC PvP, in my opinion. You're always looking for an advantage to shit on people.
Either way it goes, it doesn't matter, right? Because like I said, I don't think top speed is relevant. What matters is acceleration.
The top speed is relevant to the point, in one point, because there are two major factors. The human reaction to change the vector, like towards his opponent.
This is where Cutlet, I feel like Cutlet's about to do science, right? You know that Cutlet's a really fucking smart dude. He spends a lot of time disintegrating things, and like there was one point I was like, you know, I would love you to join QQP, not for killing, just for his brain, basically. He is a smart dude. And I feel like he's about to fucking put the white coat on, the glasses, the pens, and the top prop, and bring out the fucking clipboard and go, well, here we go. Time to fucking rap battle shit, right? I agree, but pull from the system on their games that makes sense. True, yeah, you could do that. But they want the 30Gs and it too. Yeah, we don't want 30G fucking movement.
Change, right? And then the amount of time the opponent has the advantage before they reach the top speed. And that is two major factors. So the bigger you create the gap where an opponent can accelerate from you, the more distance gap this creates in an overall fight. I'm putting it very simply. Obviously, there are much more. It's much more complicated, but you exactly know what I mean. So, giving this increasing that ceiling to 500 without bleeding out to SCM will again lead to the gap between the ships, right?
It defeats the purpose of all of
this. It's kind of, it just, I feel that it defeats the purpose. Again, I'm not a best pilot ever. I'm a very average. I'm like...
Again, it's literally people who use the cheese who want the cheese so they can continue playing with cheese. That's all I'm hearing right now. It might not be that in like other people's minds, but for somebody who does a little bit of PvP and is decent at PvP to carry myself, but not where I can get sweaty in Arena Commander because I just don't like the way PvP is in general, right? But it just sounds like I want the cheese to remain in Star Citizen so I can shit on people who have no idea how to do this, right?
There is Avenger 1 and I'm personally average 1, right? So like I'm very average. I can beat majority of PU players, but in Arena Commander, unless I train for like the next 3 months, I'm dog shit.
Exactly.
But it doesn't like kill the understanding of how it works in my brain. So I feel like giving that 500 in decouple will just defeat the purpose of why it's done. It's just my personal opinion.
So it depends, right? We have to test this to really fully understand its implications. But let's say we are down to 500. 500 is still very easy to vector change on with the current model. Like if you were to limit yourself to 500 and fight at 500, it's very easy. It comes down
But they
to
don't
like,
want you to vector change. I don't understand why people can't grasp it. They literally said at CitizenCon video, we want to dampen everything apart from going forward, which means that they don't want you to vector fight anymore. They want you to basically fight by moving into positions where you have nose on target and they don't have their nose on you. Not fucking, I'm shifting my weight around because we want to get out of first person fucking shooting in a spaceship to fucking actually having to dogfight and move into certain patterns. This is where they literally say it in the fucking video, and they're constantly spraffing on Discords saying this shit. And this is, I want to still be able to fucking get into positions super fucking easy with my tricore bullshit.
knowing it comes down to what ship you fly, right? Because light fighters will be the be-all end-all for catching players. Even if you're capped, let's say 500 on a Gladius, and then you're 480 on
No,
an
they
Arrow.
won't, because literally, again, how many fucking times have we pepper sprayed arrows and cartoals on fucking Hurston? Because they can't go fucking crazy tricord shit. You can still get away. Myself and Puppeteer had an arrow chasing after us and we did a certain flight pattern and the dude got fucking wrecked without even landing a shot and we're going 300 meters a second. But we're not tricording or do anything, you know? And it's the same. You get absolutely wrecked by sabers and what are they called? Fucking hornets. Because they have more output. You have to learn to actually fly instead of hoping for fucking wiggly mechanics. Because they turn to merge like in space and go 0 speed. Exactly, yeah. He's
The
in
arrow's never
Liberty
getting away.
Rippers,
like
apparently.
500 is still enough range to apply damage to a ship. And if you're knife fighting, which is usually within 300 meters...
Again, get the fuck out of the idea that you're going to be knife fighting. It's gone. It's absolutely fucking gone. If all your thrusters are fucking dampened, you can only go forward at high speed or use your speed to go forward. You're going to be basically a jet fighter that can move in any direction, but it's dampened to how fast you're going to. So the faster you go forward, the less these things are going to be able to fucking do for you, which means that you have to slow down and turn into your fighting just like it is in modern day warfare. This is better for other people to understand because, again, not everyone has the expanse fucking combat brain on the go, you know?
and they all of a sudden go 500 meters in another direction, and you catch it when he's 200 in front of you, he's still within 800, 900 meters, which is applicable for damage sakes. So 500 is still something that we can manage. And I'm guessing, again, because we don't know if decoupled will slow down.
But why do you want it? Why do you want 500? Like get to your agenda.
I don't...
Like, you want...
I fucking love Virgil. I really do. Just get to the fucking agenda. Stop going round in circles.
You want
500.
interception and like decoupled
No, it can go
drifting,
any way.
right?
I don't care if
scale.
it's 500 or not. But the thing is, if we have 500, it allows these players that have more skill
You shit on more people.
than the other
Skill
players.
at what though? A skill at like drifting.
At controlling,
like, this is...
controlling direction and speed.
Yeah, but you can do that at 250.
Can I
Yeah,
add
you
to
can do
this?
it at 250, right?
hear
but
that.
Like
again,
that's just like you're just talking about
I'll
controlling
get
like
you in there,
decoupled
Xperia.
drift.
Are you gonna watch Hurt Locker? I watched it last year. I actually really enjoyed Hurt Locker. I need to see, because obviously, Jonas, with Puppy, I can't dedicate anything right now. Like, I couldn't even fly with the guys last night at Jumptown when they were sorry, burpee, doing stuff at Jumptown. I can't do it. So I might be able to. It all depends on how much I can get him to sleep, because obviously I can't take him out for walks until another 4 weeks because he's still too young. So yeah. And this guy has insane amount of stamina. You're gonna staff with it? Nice, nice. I did watch it last year. It's really fucking cool, man. You know?
let
Is
me
where we're
let me
getting
let me
at.
give you an example. Let's say the speed is 300, right? Because that's current 250, 280, whatever, somewhere around there.
Isn't it all
If I were
relative?
to change direction, if I were to change direction on you and I can accelerate from 0 to 280 in 2 seconds, you're not going to react to that in time, and you're never going to catch me because now I have a gap between 200 meters. And then what I do is I keep changing that vector so that I keep increasing.
But you can't! You can't understand what CIG have said. They've literally showcased it as well in a video. And they've said multiple times on multiple Discords, this is what you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to go forward fast, but you're not going to be able to turn like you can right now. It's dampened. So where the fuck do you think your vector changing? You know? And I like Jonathan Winters, but clearly the guy does not understand the fuck what CIG are saying.
That gap little by little because you cannot react to that acceleration change as quickly.
And it's the
as
same with Avenger 1. They're all fucking blinkered that they're still flying with their upstray fucking rolling tinted glasses, and it's not going to be this case because again, CIG have stated that your only powerful engine is the ones pushing you forward. So if your forward doubles or triples out the power of your sides, you are going to be literally having to turn at an angle fight, right?
Input it.
Stop being so
I would say we've
narrow-sighted to
done,
this system.
quite a few practices limiting our maximum speed right now in the current patch, right? Of course, we cannot artificially create the state where the boost increases.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk
Yeah,
about.
that's the tough part.
Like we
to
cannot do
illustrate
that, right? But obviously, there is no, unless we do it manually, but it's impossible.
Yeah.
I actually did it. I showcased it last week. You can check the VODs on YouTube, !VODs. I can't remember which one it was, but literally I showcased what it's like. It's not going to be as active as what it is, but you SEM lock your speed down. So you find the SEM speed on where you're at, like say go to Hurston, Daymar, whatever. Lock it down, and whenever you afterburner, unlock the SEM speed, and the moment you let go of afterburner, press the lock on, and it'll automatically slow you down. There you go. Anytime you press afterburner, just make it where it fucking locks. Like if you hold afterburner, it locks SEM, and when you unlock it, or you let go of your afterburner, unlocks it, right? Just set up a macro to do it. Boom, bada bing. There you go. Now imagine that you can't afterburner and move in multiple directions at once. There you go. Again, it's so easy to see how this game is going. Just go to hard atmosphere and play with it. That's it. Don't try and tricord because that's gone, and don't try and backstrafe because that's gone. Use your forward thrust and angle vectors and you'll be fine. Just stop trying to vector change all the time.
So I would say there is a huge difference between limiting yourself to 300 and 500. That's...
I actually really want Philips Hue lights, Anu, but they're so expensive. I've got shitty ones above me that require me to like manually do every time, right? I would love some Hue lights, you know. We might do a fucking... I might add them to my gift site. Guys, please, I really need some Hue lights. So when I get angry, the red lights flash.
why I'm like making my argument, because I've seen it. Like there is a huge difference. And I'm talking
there
about
definitely is.
like pilots who know how to merge correctly, right? So again, like the higher you go with the speeds, the more you get this effect of you shooting a pixel. This like combat when you see your opponent up close goes away and away the more you increase the speed limit.
Again,
right?
It's why I generally only fight these days in atmosphere, or have been doing for multiple years now. Because you know what I like to do? I like to be able to fucking shoot at somebody that's... You can see the pilot in the cockpit as you're flying around them and stuff like that. It's so satisfying. But when somebody's 1400 away and they're just like a little fucking dot, it's so shit.
Mm-hmm. So I feel... And there is another thing we have to remember. There is the whole logic in this new system that boosting will get you above the SCM
Yeah,
speed,
it's off the
right?
banner. Yeah.
It's like I mean, obviously this has nothing to do
Good
with
terminology,
physics. We're
Virgil.
not
I like
discussing
that.
right now. We're discussing completely gameplay, right? So the whole point of managing the resources then goes away. To keep yourself
Nice.
above SCM,
I would like a video, please,
That
Adu.
means you have to have the capacitor for it. That means like the whole capacitor thing, right? So if you let the decoupled ship infinitely go on the maximum speed, again, that kills the purpose of using your boost to go on that speed. You only have to use it to accelerate, right? So if you're trying to disengage, now all you have to do is go decoupled and decoupled and vector, and then you can keep that speed, right? Instead of wasting your boost.
I agree with you. Let me two things. I agree. Look, I think that would be the better outcome, but worst case scenario, they let decoupled max out. But let's put another outlook into this. Let's say you're trying to shoot me and you're going powers to weapons and I'm power to thrust the whole time. You will never catch me because I am not trying to engage, and every time you're trying to recharge your weapons, I have more boost than you.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's fine. That's fine. But
so
that's decisions.
That happens on both speeds. It happens with SCM being locked, and it happens with it being unlocked. I'm not saying we should have unlocked, or I'm not saying we should have locked. I'm saying here are the possibilities, and how does it affect the gameplay? I think if they unlock it, we're okay still.
Alright guys, I'm just gonna do this because you know I always like to fucking slam down, right? So once your boost pool is depleted, you will be pulled back to the SEM SPs. It's just for extending above while you're using, aka afterburner. You can't stay at that speed indefinitely by using decouple. From CIG, 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 come from CIG, do 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 do. So again, this is the problem, right? Is that everyone makes these goddamn fucking videos, literally knows what they're talking about in our current system, but has absolutely fucking Scooby-Doo about the new system. So the speculation just becomes where everyone starts listening to these videos, because Salty Mike is quite popular and, you know, he does a lot of great content. So everyone listens to this and goes, well, Jonathan Winters is correct in this situation. You know, how could he be wrong? He seems to know everything. And here we go, 9th of October, literally fucking over nearly 20 days ago, CIG fucking saying this is how it's going to be on an open Discord that has Xylo, Yogi, everyone. Shadow Moses Discord, by the way, best place to go for actual fucking information from Yogi, all that jazz. And he literally states here from one of the team that are actually working on it, good old Winters, fucking legend. This literally says, Jonathan Winters, you know fucking zippity doodah, right? Zippity doodah when it comes to what you're talking about right now. You're only going with what you have information on the current system. But we are moving to a new system, which means that everything you know about Star Citizen goes fucking out the window. And you have to embrace opening your spectrum to be like, right, this is how it's going to be. Let's look at that point. They want to nerf it this way. They want to nerf backstrafing. They want to bring in higher Gs. They want to bring in blackouts and redouts again. They want to make it where you actually see your opponent instead of being pixelated. You're not going to be moving around like fucking high speed. Enemy who? Shadow Moses? Ah, Shadow Moses ain't my enemy. Liberty Reapers ain't my enemy. I have 0 fucking enemies in Star Citizen, and I'll tell you this why. Because nobody, not even Virgil, is going to send his crew after me. Like, even if I killed 1 or 2 of their guys, right? He's not gonna waste resources like that down the line. So, that's just it, right? You're more after somebody else and stuff. So, there's no enemies to me. I have, like, even Letty or Mike or anyone like these. Nobody, you know?
But personally, I think locked would be the better
4.0, yeah, P-Bot. So next year, 6 months, 9 months, whenever they actually decide to release it. It's being worked on right now for Squadron 42. So just to let people know, it's not changing anytime soon because they're wanting to get the final flight system in for Squadron 42 to get it out. So the moment that this goes into Squadron 42, this is how it's going to be for Star Citizen for a very long time. The difference is there's more ships in Star Citizen than there is in Squadron 42, so they will require more time to tweak, but everything that you fly will be the same, because this is the gold standard of flight, basically, that they want to do for Squadron 42, which ends up for us, right? They might do little tweaks here and there, or a different system for Arena Commander, but for the PU, it will always be this in the future.
If I can... Xperia was trying to jump in, so I don't know.
Oh no, yeah, that was just, it was about the top speed thing.
Okay,
Sure. Yeah, it was when you boost, you can go in forwards.
Yeah.
At a higher speed, but
that's
less.
like the point of this, right? Like the point of them turning boost into afterburner, meaning like right now you boost, it just means you get to the ceiling quicker, but it doesn't lift.
You're the gold standard for men in my life. I am a manly man, Brie. How are you doing, lovely? Welcome in. They are just filthy criminals, literally my salary. Yes. Yes. I'm a harmless criminal. Hey, Villet, welcome in, Chief. Go crash into team. Hey. Anu got stage fright, right? He's showing off to the Grand Master of Low Flight. He just got a little stage fright, right? Man, that video cracks me up, man. I'm so glad that you guys used the stealth video part of it. It was so well... Because, again, I'll show you guys another time. It's the cut where it's the other dude in the plane just like... like, what the fuck just happened, man? Hey, Mortis, how you doing? Man, I love your videos, guys. So good. I like anyone that does videos like that. Just takes the piss, man. And the thing is, here's the greatest thing about anyone who PvP smack talks. If you can make a video or you're part of a video that takes the piss of you and you can accept it and enjoy it, you're literally god tier in my eyes. Because if you can take the piss of somebody, but you can't take the piss of yourself, then you're just fucking backstabbing shit, like.
Chasing and retreating. But let's not kid ourselves. Like, the reason we're in this mess is because people keep retreating. And, yeah, it's just a bit alarming that we're discussing...
Retreating-wise is one thing. For me, it's the cheese in the video game. Where, if you want to be a top-tier pilot, you have to learn anything that fucks the calculations of this game. Or you use weapons that break the game. Or a ship that breaks the game, like a car to all, right? You're wanting those 30 fucking G's just because it breaks the game. Not because you're actually a better pilot. It's you want every advantage that you have over somebody by jumping into a ship. You know, like everyone goes into their Gladius, I stick into my arrow because I don't like the Gladius. I'd rather have one shield, regen my shields longer, but in a ship that I enjoy more, right? And I don't jump into cartoals and start fucking shitting on everyone in atmosphere and stuff like that. There's a difference in wanting to be a good top tier PvPer and be known for it, and then there's somebody that just literally wants to use everything broken in the game to shit on everyone. And there's a fine line of trying to work out those type of PvPers. For me, it sounds like Virgil wants to be the one that I talked about, who wants to have the history of knowing, but then right now, and again, this is nothing against Winters, it sounds like he wants to be in the category of I just need an advantage over anyone else, you know? I had a dream where they made me play a test with 6 million different weapons to try and counter rocket bots. I, I had a weirder fucking dream last night. I had a dream where I was streaming and for some reason I was at a standing desk and I had no trousers on and just fucking cock flopping out and I never got banned. And when I woke up, I was like, I quickly went to the Twitter page that says, have you been banned? You know, it tells you if partners are banned and I'm like, please say no TheDarkLaw has been banned. Please, please, please. You know what I mean? Fucking sweat. I'm like, have I been banned again on Twitch because I've got fucking dick hanging out? Oh man, it was like that was a fucked up dream last night.
Back towards in that direction, like that's the fucking mess we're in right now, brother.
Yeah.
I think another issue is not only the speed, but like it's because if you when you fly with like people who know how to get close to you, like let's take Aiko for example, he's really good at chasing people down. Even if he catches them, even if he's able to stay on them at 1,200 meters, he just cannot apply the damage, and that's where the problem.
Yeah, but if you actually notice, he's in if he's in the PU, I always see Aiko streaming in the car to all. That ship is incredibly difficult to disengage from because it's broken to fuck. Okay? So this is what I'm saying. Like, Aiko is a good pilot, but if you want to prove to me that you're better than the system, use a ship that doesn't have these mechanics. You know what I'm saying? If Aiko was doing it in a Saber, for example, I would be fucking godly impressed with that shit. But it's a car to all, or it's, you know what I mean? It's in Arena Commander with an arrow and stuff like that. Very small environments and stuff, able to keep on people quite easily. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the problem I have with the AC mentality, is that when you're using everything, like you talk about using tricording, up strafing to the left, which technically means whilst you're turning to the right, you're back strafing. You just don't fucking realize it, okay? Or you realize it and it breaks the mechanics of where you get 50% more afterburner to do these things. And if you're good at merging with people and sticking onto them, you know, this is, again, we break it down to so many things that take away, you stop doing this shit, you stop using these ships, and then prove to me that you can actually PvP. Because until then, you're just using broken shit, as far as I'm concerned. Broken cheese, broken mechanics, all that shit. Get into hard atmosphere, stop using the fucking super duper high fucking agility ships, get into there and get in a Saber and prove to me that you can actually PvP. That's what I'm throwing down right now. All of you guys, 5v5, get your asses into Sabers and let's see who the fuck wins. Because until then, you're just using broken shit as far as I'm concerned.
Problem is because you can
and you're
chase
good,
someone and you get punished for
but
it
you can't be
because when
fucking
you start
claimed as
exceeding
anything
speeds,
great, you know?
It doesn't matter how good you are, you just can't apply damage. So they have a safe meter where they can just
It doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter about that shit, right? That's just the calculations of the game.
their boost and regain their shields and then boost again. on another
PvP
Why
in the
can't you
PTV.
apply damage for somebody who doesn't really
so
know?
what's going on right now in Star Citizen, when you go over a certain speed, I don't know what speed it is, I haven't done the exact testing, let's say maybe 600, but you'll start to notice your shots will land because you'll see hit indicators, like you'll see the repeater sparks,
Sure.
but there won't actually be application of damage.
Can I tell you guys what it is? Because CIG have already said this many times, is that they fixed slowing down desync or close to ship desync, but they never fixed fast speed desync. This is why they didn't bother with it, because again, they have on their whiteboard, we want to redo the whole model completely. So why fix these things when, or stop band-aiding the shit when we want to literally just change the whole system, you know? This is where, again, it's not like I'm trying to be disrespectful to people like this and Avenger 1 and stuff, but it's blinkered talk, where you understand the game, you understand it, but your longevity way of looking at it, especially with Jonathan Winters here, is that you're blinkered into a method that you're used to, and you're not willing to adapt and let go of the system. You want it to be that system because you're irrelevant right now and you don't want to put the work in, or maybe you're just not subconsciously you're not thinking about it correctly, you know? And again, it's nothing to be disrespectful here. It's just so horrible to hear that people just want all this broken shit in the game instead of making it where it's more understandable for people who are flying around and doing things. Instead of having to be a fucking bubble Pokemon master that learns how to manipulate 30 Gs without blacking out, you know? It's so stupid.
The thing will blip and the ship will...
I'm sick and tired of Arena Commander pilots dictating this game. And they're about to get a reality check where you're no longer dictating this game. And it has been for so many fucking years that all the top tier pilots have had their say, and now you're getting shit canned into a system where you're going to have to just learn how to fucking play the game differently. And that's what they're upset about, or they're scared about. Same with racers and stuff. Low flyers, all that shit. Just adapt or fuck off.
Keep going and nothing. The ship will not take any damage. The shields will recharge, and it just ignores all your fire.
Okay.
Yeah, we also have to understand one more thing, like a really critical and crucial thing. We cannot
Rock, paper,
measure
scissors style combat.
the PvP experience by putting an example of like top pilots in the verse.
Yeah.
Cutlet to the
They
rescue!
have to have an ability to utilize their skill, obviously, to get victorious. But we cannot
Hey,
think
Xander.
like about the game by comparing like top like 50 pilots, okay?
Exactly! Fucking exactly! Award MVP to Space Cutlet right now for slapping it down. That it's not about this small fucking minority. It's the same with Letty and Cutlet and Hannah. Again, with piracy. Is that it's such a small group of individuals right now that it's not to be CIG's top priority. It's about a new flight model that works with everyone, not just to give advantage of people who are flying away fast and the person chasing them, who may be a decent PvPer, is literally fucking shitting on folk, right? Xander, thank you very much for the gifted sub. Bree, thank you very much for the 6 months. Appreciate that, you too. You know what I mean? It has to be about every pilot, and you have to build a system that works, and then it's the people like Aiko, Villet, you know, everyone like that, Mordors, anyone that puts time in, develops the skills, but it's in the same boundary that everyone works into. So the moment that you master tricording, you're forcing somebody who is a brand new player to master this system, or they will never be relevant in this game. It can't continue like this for Star Citizen. It has to be where you build the game where it's fun to get into, engaging, but understandable, and then it has to be where if you master certain maneuvers, aka moving in your arcs or anything like that, verticals and stuff. Mortis is a good pilot. Shut the fuck up, Bree. I know you got the cap aside. But yeah, Mortis is good, right? The idea is that it has to be a level playing field. You can't keep having it where you use a car to all and you know how to tricord, you know how to avoid the blackout mechanics, which it can be done if you're skilled enough to do it and you've spent the time in it. You can't have that so like literally anyone disengage, they're fucking, you can't escape from it. You can't build a game like this. And I understand that these guys put in way more time, but you can't have a system where you are shitting on everyone just because they don't have the time to do it. You should be shitting on them because you're better than them, not because you're doing a different way of flying to them. That's why I talk about the cheese. It's got to fucking go.
No,
Or
I agree,
whatever.
and I'm not trying to.
Top 10 pilots, because like
these...
an ability of like someone from the top league to merge and like all that
Just before Cut goes into anyone that I've just talked about, all right, who has potential to be like, again, I only put people in the good category right now. I don't look at anyone as pro or fucking esports tier, because until the game is actually working, it's just so many calculations are off. You can't see somebody's true ability. But if these people who are already in this sort of list go into this new system and then they're still at that thing, you can see that these are good pilots. But I guarantee you're going to see a massive drop off on people who spend all their time in Arena Commander and they get fucked with this new system because they only know one way of flying. And we see it when we have people coming into Atmosphere to verse like me and Fresh or me and Puppeteer in our Sabres. They get fucking ruffle stomped because they're trying to upstrafe left fucking turn whilst right turning and back strafing at the same time and pulsing their afterburner to try and cord, and they're just sitting at 50 meters a second, and we're beaming them to death because they have to learn about moving in vertical and horizontal fucking movements, keeping that energy up. So they just get baited into their stationary thing, and the Saber just goes, what the fuck are you doing, bruh? And then when they tried to fucking tricord away at high speed, even car-to-all pilots, the Saber's right behind it going, top speed, bruh. Going forward, bruh. You know what I mean? And they just get absolutely fucking shit-canned on it. And this is the biggest problem I think Arena Commander pilots are going to have. That they're too scared to actually have to start thinking about their vectors before they start doing these cuts and stuff, left, right, and shit.
That is really not the case. That means like no one in the lower skill cap will be able to like do shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
This is it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
I think
like,
this is going to happen at slow speeds too.
I don't
Because
think
again
you're-
of the acceleration.
Yeah, but like you gotta realize too, though, right? Like, what's the size 3? You probably know the number, Winner. I don't have it off by heart, but what's the range on a size 3 like laser repeater?
1400.
1.2.
Like, I don't think you're
What? It's got 1400 range.
gonna be kiting people at 1.2 in SCM. I think the entire point of them
It's literally got 1400 meters second. Fuck hell.
developing this is if you're choosing to go combat, you're in fucking combat. You're not gonna be kiting like these. You're not gonna get away from these weapons. You know,
I agree.
even if you say you.
This is where again, like, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody comes in like Cutlet or Fresh is like the best person to have, because he would come in with a clipboard with all the information fucking printed off. But when you, like, what's the speed of repeaters, and you tell me it's 200 meters a second slower than it actually is, that means you're just sort of snorting your own copium trail.
You boost away and like you want to kite and re-engage and stuff. I think that the distance of these weapons and how far they can shoot isn't changing, but the ships are, which means the weapons are now shooting at further ranges than previously because you could get away from them.
I still think we're going to see weapon ranges dropped with this new flight. I definitely feel it's going to be where instead of like 1400, I have a feeling they'll probably drop it down to a flat 1000.
And stuff like that. So I don't think there's going to be this disengage, re-engage meta. I think it's if you chose to fight, then someone dies. Like I don't think it's going to get prolonged.
I think the only way of survival in this new system is that you're going to have to incorporate really good circle ability. And the only way to bring in circle ability is for CIG to lower down the ranges of weapons so that you're actually spiraling around each other and cutting through and doing S rolls, all these sort of things to throw people off as you engage and stuff like that, you know? It doesn't work mostly unless it's 700-800 meters. Like, yeah, because that's just the calculations of the game. The moment you go over 600, the game just can't figure out what the fuck is going on more. That's why they need to drop it down to SAM speed. And again, we don't know the SAM speeds of most of the ships. You know, they could be where they make it 400 or something like that. It's all going to be dialed down because they only have the Gladius and like the Hornet to use right now, and it's still in testing. So we have no idea of the numbers, you know? I'm just scared we'll make PvP pretty boring, but we'll see. I mean, how would PvP be boring if everyone slowed down with shorter ranges of weapons, I know? It's instead of, like, my biggest problem with Star Citizen is that when you're going to go into a merge, you're shooting at each other at 1400 range before you even turn. And that's what's boring to me, that it's just literally, instead of outflying people, you are just beaming the fuck down because you're within range of your weapon system. You know? No, I think this system will be a lot more creative. Again, if they make it where your primary thruster is way more potent than your maneuvering thrusters, and they have a dampened feel and the main doesn't, it means that you'll use afterburner to get higher arcs to bring people in to circles. Yeah, I mean, right now it's so boring because I always example of it. It's just literally FPS in spaceships. There's no dogfighting. It's just FPS shooting. That's it. And that's why mouse is really good right now. Because you don't actually have to move. You just have to manipulate a pip and just use your mouse aim to beam. And for some reason, joysticks has this weird, sometimes ESP works, sometimes it doesn't, and it just gets super frustrating with it. So for me, I'm like, anything that gets the calculations back in, because I'm fucking beaming somebody down behind them, and their shields are flashing, they're taking no damage, and then I'm the one that shields down, because they're able to beam me down as I move away into a different angle of attack. And it just becomes like face tank and stuff. It is very boring. I definitely feel that the moment you have to use movement around, you know? The moment you have to move around and not just face people all the time, it'll make it more interesting. Yeah, we'll see how CIG go with it. Again, I always boil this down to right now, Hurston or Microtech is the best PvP in the game by far. Because missiles are more scarier, closing the range is way more scarier. The fact that you can't just disengage as easy as you want, you've got to be a bit more precise in your pushing through and stuff like that. And I kind of feel like this is what it's going to be like in space. The difference is that you will be able to just obviously go over SEM speed to sort of disengage and get into QCM and do it like that way. That has a little bit more thought. But it does mean that if they add in proper aerodynamics, it means that people who try to tricord and burn their energy out will just be stationary objects, you know. And I think that's a good thing. Again, everything that people are talking about, including myself, everyone in chat, everyone in this video, is just speculation. But the problem is, most of the time that I hear on these videos is people who are short-sighted and they're not looking at everything that changes when you start doing things. They're like, well, we're going to be slowed down, but we're still going to be able to tricord. No, CIG, I've literally told you that. And then it's like, oh, but we want to make it where when we go over decouple over SEM, we're going to stay at that speed. CIG, again, on the 9th of 10th, just literally said, no, that's not going to happen, right? People just have a hard time of letting go.
I think these fights are gonna
like, oh, the game's gonna be boring. You don't know.
I think that there's gonna
you literally
be
don't
like,
know.
you know, these merges, you know, multiple merges in a fight and stuff. I think unless they retune weapons, I can't see that happening. I think it's gonna be one person dies.
I think it's still going to happen, but it's going to happen with people that know how to fight. So, for example,
no, 5 versus 5, 5 versus 5. The first person who's primaried in a merge engagement is dead. Absolutely fucking dead. You go to any video game, EVE Online, if you're the first person targeted, you're fucking scuffed. Right from the start. That's just warfare. Same with FPS shooting and stuff like that, or tanks versus tank. The first tank that's primed has 5 shots on it, whilst it has to try and defend against that shit. You just don't. You have to die. That's just part of the game. And it's more of an RNG of, can you kill people faster than the other team, basically? Or is your tactics more advanced than their tactics and stuff like that? But you can't have the ability to just fucking dodge rounds.
The way to disengage, if we have an analogy, let's say boxing, where we have Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson wants to get in close, he wants to bob and weave close, and he wants to hit you. Where Ali wants to kind of get away and hit from a little bit further out, get some space, get some control. The issue with Star Citizen, how this correlates is, let's say we're a knife fighter, right? So I'm going to push in close, I'm going to shoot, and then I want to breathe. So what I'm going to do to breathe is I'm going to hug him really close and stick on him in an orbit so that he can't put his lasers on me when I don't want him to. Now, the thing is, when you have 2 knife fighters and you're fighting for this positional advantage and you're both in tight and you're trying to get around the target, what one of the ships can do is boost in the other direction extremely fast. And because of the acceleration and the reaction time that we need to process it, he'll be able to gain that 1.2K advantage and create distance and get out of the fight. But again, this is something we need to have to really know. Like, it's impossible.
We still need these things in our hands.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
that's the reality of it too. We can all think we know how it's going to show up, but I see what your point. I would just debate that. I don't think you can get that gap. I don't. My gut says I don't think.
Virgil's right on this. Again, if you only have a main thruster of pushing, if you are in a knife fight or you're orbiting around and it goes wrong for you, you don't have the ability to tricord in an opposite direction to gain that distance. You have to basically go, oh, I'm losing this fight, time for me to turn and go in that direction. At that stage, the person merges in right behind you. Exactly, Puppeteer, exactly. And this is the thing where Virgil's like, I don't think they'll do a weapon change. I think they will do a weapon change. I generally believe CIG will turn this game into a 4 DOF flight system that gives you the ability to move in 6 DOF. But your primary movement will be 4 DOF. And they will shorten the range weapons and make them more devastating. This will still make the time to kill roughly about the same, or actually it will shorten it slightly, and it will make it more fun and engaging. And again, with people who are not good at dogfighting, the idea would be like, well, we've got 2 people who are not good at dogfighting, let's get them into a hurricane, and you've got the ability to fucking turret whilst the pilot is moving around and stuff, and that's the advantage there. You know? But everyone just wants to fucking orbit around people like they're fucking satellites, right? And that's literally this is what frustrates me with PvP the most in space, is that whoever gets that positional advantage, you can't get away from them because they're just fucking, wee, I'm a fucking satellite following behind you, you know? Like triangulate in atmosphere, it's fun, exactly. And that's how I see this model going. The only way they could fuck this up is if they allow you to basically afterburner fast left and fast afterburner right straight afterward, allowing you to basically shift your weight of ship around. And I don't think you should be able to do that. I think you have to make a decision if you want to be defensive or you want to be aggressive. You shouldn't be able to be them at the same time. You say we again? No, it wouldn't come out like the way I just said it, Bree. That's the spur of the moment
we can put our hands on. Let's say we can boost, right? And we hit...
Because I know the pitch you're talking about, and I wouldn't be able to do it unless it's organic.
Let's achieve that in 2 seconds. That means you need 4 seconds to get that 1.2k distance. And I think that's doable. I think 4 seconds is enough time.
Yeah, but like, it's also 4 seconds is also an incredibly easy amount of time to react to someone trying to leave.
If you can see it, because again, we're talking about a knife fighter who's hugging you and you can't position and you're trying to...
I think I'm about to spin this on because this is definitely where Jonathan thinks you're going to be knife fighting in this new model and you're not going to be. Because if the thrusters have dampen effect, it's more like what we have in Atmosphere right now where you can't knife fight to a certain degree. You're basically at the stage where you're falling backwards in Atmosphere. Obviously this would be in space, so you're not falling backwards, but you know what I mean. Like, if everything stops you from going backwards and at high speed in different angles, you have to use vector attacking, horizontal and vertical, and you start moving in angles instead of just fucking straight lines and wiggle. So again, we talk about this where when people complain about jousting, jousting is where one ship, other ship are coming in to begin with the merge. And you joust and you pass each other and you decide at this point if you're going to go 1 circle or 2 circle, and if you're going to decide if you're going to go vertical or you're going to go horizontal. And obviously if somebody is going 2 circle, because obviously 1 circle is when you do this, and 2 circle would be where the opposite target goes in an opposite circle. So this is still 1 circle, but if this person goes... Oh god, I can't move my hands this way. But you know what I mean. Basically, if one target is going this circle, that's 1. But if this person crosses and you do this, that's a 2 circle fight. Where you will always end up on each other, but one person is doing their own circle instead of them both going through the system like that. And you do this to throw people off so that you get behind them and start shooting at them. But right now you just do this, sphere fighting, where you're just going around like this, and if you're somebody who's good, you get behind and they're like that. Hey, I'm a fucking satellite, and you can't do shit about it because you get stuck, you know? It's gonna be the best fun.
to fight for position. So maybe you're facing and you're orbiting in a different direction.
You shouldn't be fighting for position. You should be fucking outsmarting somebody so that they sit in front of you and you just shoot their fucking tail. You know?
Trying to do is create distance. So he's going to align with his vector and push.
Yeah, but I don't think like they're gonna be behind you, and you're not gonna rotate to see them leaving. You know,
you're gonna
smaller
rotate
than a 4-second window.
You're gonna be fighting for rotation, right? That's what we do. We get.
Yeah, I know, but like they're all. I know, I get that, but you're not 4 seconds of a turn away. You know. Yeah.
No, you're not. You're not 4 seconds of a turn away. But you have to. You need to process it, and you need to react to his vector.
And wait a minute, I need to go. I need to get little jet models. Guys, this is it. I need to buy some jet models with sticks, so we can do proper fucking videos for you guys.
Applicable.
So if you weren't looking, there's the time that he's leaving.
Essentially, he's saying that you should be able to trick someone in 4 seconds, and it's 4 seconds a lot of time.
It depends on the players. Again, this is the.
You should be able to trick somebody in a split second if you know what you're doing, in the right sort of system. Do you think somebody in modern day warfare, whoever gets themselves into a dogfight situation, which is very uncommon, but they still train for it, do you think that literally when they go into the merge, like, I have 4 seconds to analyze what's going on? No, you have to analyze within like 1 or 2 seconds. And then whilst you're analyzing and you're defending, you're then building up a strategy of movement where you're going to be. But in Star Citizen, that goes out the window. You just basically go backstrafe, forestrafe, backstrafe, forestrafe. Oh, I'm behind you. I'm a satellite. You know what I mean? Instead of forcing people into a strategy movement where you then converse 1 or 2 people, and it's the same with 2 versus 2, where you would then have wing focusing on it. You just have to play a bit more strategy instead of hoping for this fucking I've got to get in this weird angle all the time. In DCS I take 0 seconds to think and I just go ape. That's up to you. How you doing, Ondo?
Skill gap thing, right?
Again, the easiest way to see how Star Citizen will be, in my opinion, is that they want to make it where it's easier for somebody to get in and start playing the game where the cheese doesn't dominate the game. And the easiest way I see CIG doing this is bringing it down to 4 DOF flight with the ability to maneuver in all 6 DOF. But you shouldn't be able to move at high speed in the 6 DOF. You should be focused into a tighter movement depending on your going the speed. So when you afterburner, you draw the angle out or the circle out more depending on you're going. None of this fucking I'm orbiting around you bullshit. It needs to be where basically you are weaving in between each other, you know? Oh, and some Star Marine? Blood on our hands? In DCS I take... Oh, sorry, I've read that one.
Right?
I mean, you probably could trick me.
Yeah, to a newer player, you're going to be able to do it. To a harder, more skilled veteran like Aiko, for example, I'm not going to be able to do that. Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, Shadow Moses, right?
I think this one thing I think is way more of we need it in our hands.
I mean, like no one knows, right?
Very little about it.
You're not, and that's the reality of this too, right? Is like what a flight model looks like in the first month. Give it 3 months, 6 months to bake, and like people have found the cheese, people have found like the jank in it. Like you're not gonna know what this is like. Like I was praising the last flight model. This one, right here.
I remember.
Like yeah, and to be fair,
we're here.
A lot of it was the capacitors, but you know, and things like desync came into the equation, all that jazz. But like. Yeah, you know, and then 3 months of it, and if everyone's...
Again, I dare all the PvP orgs that chess beat, right? I dare you to start doing your 5v5s in Atmosphere on Hurston. Right? And you're not allowed to use Cartoals, arrows... No, actually you could use arrows, I suppose. Yeah. But you're not allowed to use Cartoals or Talons. Right? And go there, right? Go there. And that's where you start doing your fighting, right? Because that's the closest thing we will have to slow speed combat. You know? Go there and prove to me that you guys can go in sabers, hornets, and shit. Don't just always use your tricording meta fucking nonsense. Go in ships that are going to be more useful in the future. Take buccaneers. Take hornets. You're not. Yeah, actually, the rule should be is you're not allowed an arrow, a gladius, or a fucking cartual, or a talon. Those are the 4 ships you're not allowed. Now go in and do a 5v5, and let's see where you actually stand at, right? Because that will give you more of what's going to happen. If there is a reason to be in Hearthstone Atmosphere, there will be fights there. Exactly.
Figured out, you know,
But
how
there
to
isn't.
do it dirty, and then it gets horrible, you know. So it's not. We're not gonna know. We can.
It's the closest thing you will have to what CIG are possibly going to show. Because again, we can go back for the video, and we will do in a second, because we're at 2 hours already. Fucking hell. But we're nearly done, right? We're nearly done.
Theorize all day about what we think is gonna happen, and you know, I'm not right. Neither's winner. We're gonna see it when it happens, but yeah, like
It's good that Virgil said that.
You know, it's gonna need some time to settle.
Because I genuinely believe a lot of people think they know what the fucking this is going to be like, and they don't. My examples are only available right now, which again, hard atmosphere has a dampening effect already on ships movement. It's not atmosphere, it's not aerodynamics or anything like that. It's a dampening system on engines. It's the closest thing we have to an example, and that's it.
Like a lot of time, every time they make these changes, you know, it's great for a couple weeks, or it's miserable for a couple weeks, and then it evolves into something else 3-6 months down the track.
The difference is they can't really do that anymore. So I agree with Virtual on this, where it's always good to like bake a cake and or make a stew and have it last longer and stuff like that. But the thing is, they want to get this in for Squadron 42. So we have a 2-year window on where they want that out. And I can guarantee you they want this done within a year, because if they've only got like a year deadline after that, just spitballing some numbers here, if they only have a year after they finish that stuff to polish out Squadron 42, they don't want to be constantly changing the flight systems. They'll tweak ships here and there, but they won't change it where you'll have more thrust going left and right. They won't do that shit. They'll only tweak it to individual ships that maybe have too much or too little.
Yeah, and what
Yeah,
is this? Because
100%,
this is a much bigger change than they're usually making. So, I think what I want to do is
I'm
wanna
a big stew fan, bro.
kind of
Soup, stew, anything that like what's the word? Comfort food, basically. Love that stuff.
put an end to the show. We've been going for about 2.5 hours
no.
now. No, we can't.
No.
We haven't even talked about racing, Mike. Fuck.
Fuck that.
What
right
does
now.
that
I
mean?
don't care.
Let's
listen,
plan on
Mike,
it.
listen,
Fuck that.
listen.
I'm
That was
You heard
that
him,
was
races.
I love racing, but I think that that's a separate thing, because I think that they unconveniently left it out of the conversation on that show, and that was sort
Well, they were only talking about flight.
of disappointing. So I think that it's not that I don't like racing or anything. I obviously love it. Anybody who's been here for a long time knows that I love
Racing, PvP,
but
all these
I
things
think
come
that
under
there's
flight.
something
So all they have to do is sort out flight.
It needs
That's
a
it.
dedicated conversation from them to understand what they even want to
If
do.
you can't
with racers
adapt,
more than
You'll
the
end up
one
quitting the game.
sentence they gave it at CitizenCon. So that's why I didn't message Black Maze. I felt that we need to know a lot more before we can.
Quickly on the racing, one good thing about this, I think, is that, like, I don't know if any of you have had any experiences trying the race, but if you go into the racetracks right now and you haven't rehearsed it, I'm talking about the race mode in AC. If you haven't rehearsed the race, you're gonna fucking die. But that's like, flight right now is so bad. So at an actual reasonable speed, I think that they might not see that, and they just think, oh, we're losing speed. That is bad for races, but I think it's
depends.
How do I
Well,
fucking
you're
skip
gaining-
again?
If you can
Terrain,
race in
you're
quantum
gaining-
mode,
can boost now in racing because you don't go like 1,000 on a racetrack
How do
anyway.
you skip more
But
than
if you can
5
get
seconds
just
on YouTube?
100 above, right?
Exactly 100.
Yeah, they don't
So
know.
it might be enough for. No,
I hope
no,
not.
no,
God, I hope
no.
not.
I mean, what we are probably done with the foreplay on this discussion. Can we start the real
Yeah, but then I don't
manually
skip it. I was doing
creating,
10 seconds yesterday by pressing up
SCM
arrow.
speeds
But now it's
for
just
the
doing the
ships.
volume for some reason.
for a lot of ships, right?
Hit the little X
Without
now.
an underlying logic to it. That's my take on it. I feel that the SCM speed and obviously boost speed should be the direct result of the equation that will take into account the initial acceleration of the ship.
Yeah.
That is my take on it. And
Yep,
I think
I
what
agree on
they're
that.
doing right now is not entirely correct. So the faster the ship can accelerate, at least like make it simple, make it the forward direction for now. I mean, there could be more complicated formulas, but let's make it simple. The faster acceleration of the ship is in the forward direction, the better maximum speed it should have. And everything should play out of that. Because I feel that they're going into this manual creation of different accelerations versus different maximum speeds, which makes no sense. Because obviously, by the basic logic, the ship that can accelerate better in space will be faster, and the maximum should represent it, and they no feeling into that logic. So I feel also like talking about we hear from the devs is a bit too small, especially in the combat scenarios of also forever, because that's going to give bigger ships a total advantage. That is like only 25 meters per second or 30 meters per second slower than a fighter, going maximum SCM speed in one vector, in one direction, right? So this creates a scenario where smaller fighters have to fight those 25 meters per second, right? Being completely naked to the gunfire, not being able to maneuver, and it's gonna be a weird game where you fight to go around the ship. You struggle to go around the big ship, right? Navigate around it going, like if you circle it, right? You're completely free to navigate around it going to backward.
That's the biggest problem. Like a lot of... Yeah, exactly. That's a speed limit issue where basically, for some reason, they make it where big ships can go super fast, right? But who's to say that in the future that if you look at when a big ship afterburners, it drains quite a lot of fuel and takes of the boost back and stuff, you know. It'll get worse at lower speeds. True. But again, you have to look at it that, you know, there has to be an advantage of when you're trying to run, you're basically having your turrets on your fucking aft and you're like trying to defend and stuff like that, you know? You can't just always think that you're always going to get around and fucking just strafe beside them and beam down on them and stuff like that, even in space. There has to be some sort of advantage for big ships to start getting away. They need to just make it where bigger ships are slower and tankier, but again, when they get up to speed, you're in the arc of the turret, you know?
And
just
then
takes
again,
longer
you
to get up to
struggle
speed.
Going around it into the vector it's going. I think the difference in speed should be more.
Yeah, exactly. I personally feel... How would you feel about this, Ondo, where there is a cap to speed, right? So every ship can go 1,500 meters a second in QCM, right? But big ships take a lot longer to get up to that speed. Bigger the ship is, slower it is. Fighters or smaller the ship, faster it gets to that top end speed. But you always get to that speed. So it means that if a big ship gets to 1,500 and you're not at 1,500 at the same time, you've lost them. But in that process, you have maybe 10-20 seconds of being able to shoot at them and disable them because you're already faster and faster and faster because your accelerators and stuff like that, you know? That's what I would personally like from Star Citizen. I hate when there's this weird cap on some ships, you know? It should always be where everything... Like, when we were able to drift up to 2,000, it was so good because every ship could get up to that speed. And the bigger ships took longer to do that because it was just, obviously, slower thrusters and stuff. But I want it balanced on accelerations and how fast you can do it. I'm sick and tired of everyone having different top speeds.
It's just my take on it, and I don't know if anything that I've just said makes any sense, but
No, I
I
get
want
you.
to hear other people about this
Well,
topic.
more balance on accelerations, heat, and energy balance. Yeah, exactly.
Did it make
I think
sense?
I think the speeds will be more. I don't think it will be 25. I think 25 will be for light fighters. They'll be probably close to each other. But I think if we look at something like, see, it's not even, they don't even have a list speed yet for the hammerhead, so we don't know. But
See, Winters is looking at the fucking changes on the website.
the prospectors listed.
Fuck. This is where, again, he's basing his information off on somebody changing a number on the website, and you have no confirmation that it's somebody from the vet team doing it. It could just be literally intern Bobby Davro fucking being told to change these numbers by somebody that's not even part of the vet team, you know? Maybe the lore team or something like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't base your information off on a fucking website.
200. That's almost 100
Oh, Mike,
speed
you're
difference
fucked.
between the prospector and the gladius. So I think light fighters and what they're trying to do is light fighters will dictate where the fight happens, and things like hammerhead will be more useful for defensive positioning.
I hope you're right, because from the different sources I've heard, the speed difference is less than 100 meters per second, and that makes me worry. Really worry.
I think that's because they were talking about interceptors and light fighters. Because I think it would be ridiculous if they make a warden or a hurricane as fast as light fighters. Because then light fighters are just they're scrapped. Like there will be no reason to have a
Exactly.
light fighter ever.
Yeah, and God, CIG always balances so far in one direction and never really.
Again, the simplest solution is cap every ship at the same speed, top end speed, and you just make it which ship can accelerate faster. Bigger ships have more weight, bigger engines to counter that, but they're going to be laden with cargo, and something that's like 29 meter arrow or 16 meter, whatever it is, one engine, super light, is going to be able to get up to that speed a lot faster. But they both will end up at the same speed. It just depends on the size of the ship. Make them tankier, make them slower to get to that speed, but they have turrets to defend themselves, and when they get to that speed, they're free. You know? This whole my ship goes 15 or 1300 and this other ship does 900 meters a second is so shit. Just for the love of God, balance it around acceleration depending on class.
They always like overcompensate too, so hopefully not.
Overcompensating for distortion? No way.
No way. But all right, I think 2.5 hours is a sufficient length for a podcast. I think if we go
fuck
any
that, keep going.
I think if we go any longer,
I don't want to go into day 4
on stream over here. But I want to real quick go around the table. You're after seeing everything at CitizenCon, how do you feel about the future of ship versus ship, PvP, piracy, player versus player, how we're going to engage, attack, defend? How do you feel about it? Give your quick synopsis. Letty, I'll let you go first.
I'm excited for it, really. Like, I'm really excited for these changes, just for PvP combat in general. Because I'm sick of fucking watching people just, when I'm trying to fight them, just fly away to recharge their shields.
Exactly.
Yep.
I want to be able to, like, just...
And we can't have boarding if everyone is moving at super speed, because none of us are interstellar fucking movie pilots, you know.
If they want to fight, then, you know, I'm going to give them a fight and not watch them run away.
Hell yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Winters?
I think it's great. Again, we have so little really to go off here, so a lot of it is like what if scenarios, right? But I think the overall speed nuking, you know, bringing speeds down, if that's what they need to do to fix this freaking desync issue, then let's do it, because I think that's the killer of
That's the
PvP
right
right now.
attitude.
Okay. Virgil?
Man, it's gonna feel like finally playing the game again. You know, like it's not good enough for the guys that are developing this. It's not good enough that we've been living with this for this many years, you know? Like, we all can't fly and shoot at each other's spaceships because of this shit. So I'm glad it's coming. It feels like they've got an answer for each of the problems that are important. Looks good on paper. We're going to see where it comes when it lands, but it looks promising, and we need it, and we need it now, boys. We don't need it another year from now.
2 years,
We
baby.
need it to start playing your fucking game. So please.
No, we need it in a long time away. 6 to 9 months. We don't need it now. We don't want to go round and around and around and around and around for nonsense. Give them the time. Don't put pressure on them. Don't make stupid videos saying, we need this now. The game is boring. Go and play another fucking game. Until then. We need them to actually have the time for a small team to make sure that when this does come out, there are no issues and only tiny amount of tweaking to be done. The more we push them for this, the worse it will be. And we will then have to go around in the next 2 years when they have to sort out things.
As soon as possible, but it looks promising.
All right, and I won't forget about
nice.
you two now, Xperia. Sorry for the beginning. Again.
Yeah, I mean, bring it on. It looks great. I'm excited to hear more about how these systems will play into piracy, specifically for me. But in general, for PvP between fighters and stuff.
Scout, thank you very much
Sounds
for the
great.
follow,
And I'm especially interested and excited for larger ships, because I think they're going to be massively improved with the speed changes in regards to turrets. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
I want to actually build a multi-crew instead of always being in one ship.
I'm quite excited about it. There's a lot of questions to it, and those questions that I've just asked about the difference of speeds, but it will definitely put the game, it will probably put the game in a much better spot in terms of like combat overall. I really want to see, obviously, how the piracy will play out on this. I'm really waiting for both those changes and 3.18. I'll be back in 3.18 like crazy. I don't know what's going to happen overall with the game, with the piracy in 3.18, with all the distortions not properly working, but I hope at least like ships will blow up and like leave proper cargo.
Yeah, that's
and I hope
that's the
these
thing, right?
like speed changes will be.
I generally feel like the minimal amount that a pirate should hope for is that when you pop a ship, the cargo can be scooped with Pez, and that you can track to beam in it. I don't think anyone should be putting pressure on CIG to make it where you can disable and board. If you get the ability to do that, cool beans. But I generally feel for basic pirating is just popping somebody or stopping somebody, popping somebody and scooping the loot, and then you can maybe be countered in that time. Because until then, you're not getting distortion changes, you're not getting speed changes and all these things, and I just don't want to see more and more videos on, we need this now. No, we don't need this just now. Just give them time, please. Because we've had 5 years of we need this now, and it's just been shit.
ASAP, as Virgil said, like we don't need them in a year. We'll literally need them now, and they have to be tested, battle hardened, and all that. Like, cannot wait. Positive, very positive.
Yeah, nice.
I think the earliest you would see the flight changes is 3.19.
Well, it's probably gonna take a huge learning curve for someone like me.
Oh, dude, I really wish they would make another Dread movie. It's one of my favorite movies that of all time. I just love how fucking grim it is.
But I'm excited to finally take on the task because it feels like it's going to be something that's worth it. Like, you know, we jokingly brought up the fight or flight tournament from last year, but how nice would it be for PvP content to actually be engaging content to watch on the internet? Because I'm sorry to all the people who do it on Twitch for sure, but it's not very engaging at the moment because, like Virgil said earlier, there's not a conclusion to that stuff. And I think what we're going to start seeing post 3.18 is your PvPers on Twitch, your PvPers on YouTube start to really grow because there's going to be
or just get diminished.
Right. So I'm gonna cut Mike here off, right? Even if you make PvP interesting, unless you actually have a reason to do it, it will still only ever be the chest beating PvP orgs versus the chest beating PvP orgs. I want to see more organic PvP, where basically, like Anu, you have bounty hunters coming after the PvPers where they can't alt F4, they can't always escape unless they're fucking smart like me, you know, and we have different types of fucking gameplay here. I'm so sick and tired of, like, FOF is really, really good, don't get me wrong, but I'm sick and tired of it always having to be, alright guys, do you want to fight? Let's have a mock fight. Let's have a tutorial fight with our groups. You know what I mean? I know, Nix. I know. I'm sick and tired of this shit. I want it where basically you feel like there is a constant need for PvP. And it should not always be where the moment Jump Town is on, people actually go and do it, you know? There needs to be more reasons for organic gameplay and not always focusing on who can fucking make a 5v5 group, you know? I know we won. I know, we're nearly finished, alright? We're nearly finished. You want to look at that camera there? Up there? No? I need to get like a little thing where I can dangle it to make you look up at the top one. You good? Yeah? Mm-hmm. You able to give me like 5 more minutes? I really wanted to show them the video of CitizenCon of flying through an atmosphere just to show them the speeds. But we'll see if we can get away with
because
that.
they're gonna be swarmed by
Yeah, or blobs or whatever.
This is worried me, Jelly.
Yeah, we might see that too. The biggest PvPers might be
never
test
come back to
squadron.
streaming.
Yeah, so I
we're
always-
fucked,
Chad. We're fucked.
I always personally
Montoya's
found
coming for all of us.
right.
Oh, no.
I always
will blow the sun.
I always personally
And
found
for Kara, yeah, I'm
PvP
interested to see
content
how it's
to
going to
watch
be.
for Star Citizen.
But the problem is, Kara is a good idea, but not in this flight system, because it still means people can just go super fast and wiggly and all that stuff. Kara in 4.0 would be a lot more fun.
not be very engaging because it was so much cat and mouse
know,
and not enough conclusion. So
Yeah, I
hopefully
guess I didn't
that
chief.
changes, and because that there's nothing more I want to watch than that type of content, like competitions, tournaments, just general fighting over a jump town, things like.
This is the biggest problem for me, is he said Jump Town, right? But I don't want it to be scripted PvP. I don't want it where people are going, right, let's make lots of FOFs, let's make some tournaments, like Miss Gabby's and other people have been doing like tournaments left, right and center and stuff like that. I don't want that shit. I didn't buy into Star Citizen for fucking tournaments and Arena Commander mode, right? No offense to the people that play them, but I want more organic gameplay, a reason for bounty hunters to chase after criminals, a reason for criminals to chase after players, and every single day situation, not just, oh guys, we'll turn on our dynamic event Jump Town, now you know the location and it's not really dynamic. But one day it will be dynamic because we'll have Quanta or whatever the fuck they snort in that back office, right? We used to have it where there was always PvP. You would go to locations knowing that there were players there to fight or fight over something and stuff like that. There needs to be more than just, oh, we want to get it to where PvP is fun so we can do fucking 5v5 tournaments and all that shit. No. Star Citizen is about the open world experience. There needs to be a fun flight system and a fun fight system. But also, oi! You can't escape that way, little monkey. But also where, yeah, stuff like that, Munchies. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to have more than just, we're going to phone, like, Shadow Moses versus Liberty Reapers, and that's our PvP. Fuck that shit. I want it where Shadow Moses owns an outpost, and Liberty Reapers owns an outpost, and they're wanting to take each other's outposts. And it's not just a fucking 5-minute fight of spending an hour to form up nonsense. It's constant fucking warfare. I want to watch that shit. I don't want to watch tournaments. I'll go and watch a proper fucking esports game for that kind of content. And everyone's allowed to their own opinions and stuff like that, but Star Citizen is meant to be an open world sandbox, not a fucking tournament simulator.
It's like that, and I think that this could really help with that because people will be more closer together, on screen together, all those things. So I want to thank everyone for coming on the show and being here to discuss these things and to agree and to disagree and to be somewhat civil. We had our moments today, but I appreciate everything and I appreciate you guys so much. So I just want to say thank you for that, and thank you for educating me. I feel like I understand things a lot more now than I did a couple hours ago.
Tournaments are good, don't get me wrong, Anu, but it's not why we bought the game, right? The pleasure to have held Jumptown against 5 teams yesterday, especially against Honda. Oh, you mean? Oh yeah. Never mind. I'm on it. I thought it was like some sort of fucking organized Jumptown fight or something. But no, yeah, you were there. Yeah, I'm doing very well, dude. I've actually got some decent sleep with the little monkey in there. I'm not a fan of setup PvP like that. I mean, it has its place, right? But I'm gonna go back to it. EVE Online has a Alliance tournament, which is once a year, and that's what I want FOF to be, and stuff like that. You know, this big grand PvP thing every year. But I don't want to see, welcome into fucking Gabby and Aurelia's PvP tournament and Anna and fucking, you know what I mean, like Mythologist PvP event and Burks and fucking Virgil PvP event and, you know, Avenger 1 and Jonathan Winters PvP event. Just, no, let's just have a game where we all PvP. I don't want to see a massive spam of tournaments just because that's the only thing that people will have. CIG have to be accountable for actually providing a reason to fight each other, not just to chess beat, you know? I got more viewers on my YouTube videos and my stream when we were just roaming around and every 5-10 minutes a bounty hunter was coming for me and Fresh. And it was in different areas, different scenarios, asteroid belts, Daymar, Grim Hex, everything like that. We were just roaming around and we were getting attacked left, right, and center. And that is way more entertaining because you don't know who's coming for you. And I always find that much better than these pre-made fucking snore fests, right? Prioritize or it's going to be another Cyberpunk release. Yeah, but I mean, we also got multiple years, so...
I hope the chat got the same experience. So.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Yeah,
I definitely think out of all the people... I'm on, like, Virgil and Space Cutlet, I feel, out of this whole panel, seem to know, or have a better general idea of where this game is going to be when 4.0 comes. I generally, I really like Jonathan Winters, right? I advertise his videos all the time, but I generally feel he is so out of touch with what's coming. He thinks he's going to be tricording. He thinks he's going to be fucking doing this orbiting around people still just at a slower pace. You're not. Because again, we're going to go over quickly whilst he's having a wee lie down. That the changes are more into 4 DOF flying with the ability to 6 DOF. If they continue with the primary thruster being way more. Anyone can tell what the game is like. If you remember when the Ares was launched and it had its main thruster doing like 40 Gs. That is what it's going to be like, but just on a much slower scale. You go into hard atmosphere, you will see how this game is going to be. Because hard atmosphere doesn't have aerodynamics, and it doesn't have control surfaces. It has a dampening effect on thruster movement.
It was an honor.
This was fun. It was fun.
So
thank you for getting me.
Poor Winters wouldn't get to say anything.
Everybody's
played,
opinions.
yeah.
Skills, everything, and do the...
I think we're good.
Here, guys.
See you guys.
Fantastic video. Again, I appreciate that we've been able to watch this. This is the whole video here. We managed to do 3 parts on it, which is absolutely nuts. Again, just to Jonathan Winters, by the way, thinking that we're going to be able to, or hoping we're going to be able to decouple and extend our speeds. K Winter on Shadow Moses Discord on the 9th of 10th actually said no. So, again, I really wish people would actually go and get their fucking information before yappity, you know? Especially as it's everywhere. Right, so the next thing I want to go back over with is the... Let me just blur here. And we're looking for citizen code 22. There we go. And we'll go here. And we're going to go to videos, and we're going to go to the need for speed, right? It's up. Woo.
Hi, my name is Yogi Klatt.
Is that video on...
I'm a gameplay programmer in the vehicle feature team.
Right.
I'm here with Rich Towler, David Colson, Jed Talbot, and Johnny Young.
Do we know which one Winters is, Ikers? Do you know that information? Which one of these guys is Winters? Or is Winters still hidden? Because obviously Winters is not these guys, right?
Jed Talbot.
Is this Winters? Or is this
Johnny Young?
Winters? I really would like to know. I actually should ask him that. Actually, that's a bit personal. I might ask him. Anyway, we're gonna go to... Because one of them must be, right? One of them must be, because the vet team, to my knowledge, only has 5 or 6 people, so Winters either didn't go there, or one of these two guys is K Winters, but has a different, doesn't have their name, you know? Right, so here we go. Let's go to this point. This is so important for people to listen to.
And payoffs for being in each of the 2 modes.
So let's start with standard control mode and what this means. So this is the mode that we intend to be the functional mode of the ship, whether it's combat or mining or any of these kind of core kind of things the ship does. We want the player to do these things in this mode.
Right.
And what this does is...
So before we go into anything, if anybody actually knows how to low fly, wait, only I know how to low fly. So let me go through this information that you see on this screen. We have it where they're flying at this height, but you can see that they're in coupled mode. But they're only doing like a slow speed. But watch how this ship actually fucking drifts out when it's going around corners, right? There's a massive drift here. At these speeds in this current game, there's never this drift. Only if you decouple, okay? So it already shows you, to all the fucking people that want to tricord and do all these things, because again, they don't have atmospheric effect in, they don't have control surfaces built into it, they want to add these in the future, but this is on the dampening effect, and the only way to see dampening effect is with going into hard atmosphere right now, because it's the only way they have it designed. So when he's moving around here, you can see that the ship is shifting out, and he's now rolling and strafing up, but he's still not accelerating and he's still not countering that drift. So it means that tricord is fucking gone, because he's not able to instantly shift away. Now, if you did this in Daymar right now, and this is definitely Daymar, you would never be drifting out on this amount right now. In couple mode. You would only do it with decouple, and you can see that it's a lot more wavy. Also, he's got a damaged left wing, which means he's banged into something.
It reduces the speed of the ship, but it also enables the shield to be turned on. And obviously the intent behind this is where you do your combat. It's
obviously, this thing sort of changed around. They've put notes on it already.
And all the kind of operational things the ship does operates within this mode.
The speeds that you can reach in SCM are somewhat limited, somewhere between 200 and 300 meters.
Right. So you can see here that it's the exact same thing as when I tell people right now that if you ever want to simulate this movement, what you want to do is lock the ship down or find the SEM, right? Lock speed. And what to do is keybind when you pull the button to boost whatever you have, it also unlocks SEM, and when you let go of boost, it locks SEM. This will allow you to see what it's like. Now, then, whilst this is the other crazier thing you want to do, is you have to also add into the macro that when you're doing this, you put all power to shields or all power to weapons, so that your afterburner doesn't regen until you get under SEM speed, right? And then you have to change it back. That's how you're going to see how this mode actually works in the fastest way possible. So you have a keybind to afterburner that will unlock SEM, and when you let go of that button, it will turn off afterburner and lock SEM, which you will naturally slow down. And in this stage, you've got to fucking turn power off engines to weapons or whatever, just to stop the capacitors regenerating. And when you go under SEM speed, you're allowed to put the afterburner back on. This will give you the best example of what's to come.
Per second, tuning pending. But this is basically
and you see it starting to regen now, right?
Not really exceed. You can slightly exceed this by using boost, but you can't.
What I want to point out to people, right, is watch how fast this motherfucking thing tanks to 400. If I go back here, right? So we are doing 454, nearly 500 meters a second on Daymar, which is a lot slower just now, but watch when he afterburners again, here.
But this is basically the hard cap, which you cannot not really exceed. You can slightly exceed this by using boost, but you cannot
It's
maintain...
insane! It's insane how much frontal fucking speed you have with afterburner in this ship. It doesn't do this right now. It does not accelerate that fast. It drifts up way longer to hit these speeds.
Any velocity beyond that SEM limit for
so you don't need to hold afterburner down all the time.
Some kind of energy management system, so you can go a little bit faster with a little bit more accelerations when you need to, but you know that it is a limited resource and you should use it carefully.
Specifically, the boost space is interesting for space combat because...
Look at that, just instant 15 Gs going forward. So fucking cool. No joke, most ships only do like 9 to 10 in a forward, and this is I think it's a 325A or something like that, or a 300 series. Pile of shit in the atmosphere, and this thing pumps up to 15 Gs, no problem.
That boost space
and then it goes back down,
you
know?
As it was before. You can boost the fastest if you're going forward on a straight line, and you have a lot of debuffs when you try.
A lot of debuffs. Ready for this?
Trying to boost backwards.
Trying to fly backwards. Now listen to the side strafe.
That alone gets us a lot of interesting maneuvering space and variation in the day-to-day.
See? Did anyone notice? Right, let's go back. Watch how oh shit. Watch how... Ah, fuck! I hate YouTube controls.
So to speak.
Watch as it side strafes, and then the moment it afterburners forward.
And you have a lot of
or pushes forward
when you're trying to boost backwards. That alone
so
gets us a lot
super
of
sluggish, right?
And
then it goes
in the day-to-day
boosh.
dogfight maneuvering, so to speak.
So again, it's literally as I've been saying to people, we move into more of a 4DOF combat style with the ability to add in the other two axes. But we have no idea when people talk about, oh, I'm still going to be able to tricord. You might be able to tricord one way, but you're not going to be able to tricord back the way. You're going to be in a dampening effect, and you see it when you're drifting around, or in this video you see them drifting around. That means that as you're turning the corner, you have the power thing, but you're going to have to use all your power to come back, and if you come back too much, you then have to fucking flip her over and drag it back this way. And you can literally see it here when they move left, right?
That alone gets us...
Look how sluggish it is to come back once you've gone to the left to go to the right. See?
Space and
it's like, wee, and then it's like, wee, wee. You know what I mean? So this takes away this bullshit fucking tricord system.
In the day-to-day dogfight maneuvering, so to speak.
Important that you don't have your...
Not so much like a jet fighter, but it focuses more on pushing yourself into a position where the other person has to basically outroll you, not strafe around you. You know what I mean, Reform? So yes, like a jet fighter, but it's more into your roles and your positions at the beginning of a fight to force somebody to go in the opposite direction. Not be like, right, well, we're facing each other, I'm just going to sit here and fucking satellite around them. It's more when you're fighting or you cross each other, it's like you're looking over your shoulder or looking behind and going, right, you know what, I need to go this way. Instead of people just turning around going, oh, well, let's just fucking look at each other shit. You would be going this way to keep higher angular speed up, whilst this person just stops and turns round. At that stage, you're going round in the circle and you come behind them because you've kept your energy up, and they're now energy deprived because they've stopped and turned around like you do right now in Star Citizen, and you have all that speed to then be in a situation where if they try to 1 or 2 circle fight, maneuver you, or try and run away, you're full energy behind them. And that is dogfighting. Not this fucking cross each other and then just fucking turn around and go, oh, bit of a fucking nonsense.
Quantum
right?
drive available in this mode. The idea is that quantum is restrained to the quantum traversal mode.
The second mode is quantum control.
Right, so we don't need to look at this one because obviously this is everyone knows about QCM, right? Then we look at boost. What we need to do is get to the video that shows them. So here, right?
Interfere with the quantum bubble that is allowing you to go fast.
So this shows you that you can't switch between the modes as fast as you want to do, right? Now the shields don't collapse right away. This, they've already said, I think it was on Shadow Moses Discord where they've already said, and we're about to get like a big fucking keynote on it. Yogi's already said on the forums as well that it doesn't just go to fucking zero. It goes down slowly, right? You're losing capacitor basically.
When you swap into quantum mode, your weapons will stop working because...
Again, they've also said that this could be a system where they might allow you to still shoot, but you just can't regen basically.
Anything that's firing outwards of your ship will disintegrate the quantum bubble. Your countermeasures won't work, and you will also not be able to use thruster boost. So basically all your capacitor and combat related systems are turned off instantly.
When you switch between modes, there'll be a little period of time where everything has to spool up and change. So you will lose your shields during this, you won't have your weapons during this, but you also won't be going fast. So there's a risk-reward element when you need to switch modes.
So it's going to be a very kind of conscious choice of what mode you should be in at any particular point. So if you feel the threat of someone that's close by, you're not quite...
That is going to be the interesting question. Because if you think about it, you're trying to go to QCM to run away, in a sense. Your weapons don't work. Why would you need to fire missiles whilst you're going forward? You're going to be then trying to fire missiles backwards. So you can't use your countermeasures. So whoever tries to disengage first is at a disadvantage. And whoever is still chasing has a very small window to be able to engage and deal with you, aka missiles, keep firing at you. Because, again, you will eventually, if they don't go into QCM mode and they use all their afterburner and stuff like that on the last sort of attempt, if you manage to get the disengage, you are gone. They can't catch you then because you're already up to higher speeds. That's the difference with this game mode than what it is right now. Is that if you go for the escape and you succeed in the escape, you get away. But also, the person who's chasing you will have to decide, do I go for a final few shots, or do I get fast as fuck and chase after them? That will be the decision of, like, fighter versus fighter, basically.
Quite sure what they're into.
The difference is that you're not going to be able to just kite and get your shields back. You're going to have to basically play strategy. The best way to look at it is like DCS World going in with no shield, and that you don't ever want to be in the crosshair. But right now you don't care that you're in the crosshair in Star Citizen. You go, alright, well I'm beaming, they're beaming, it's a fucking race to see a DPS race. There's no strategy in it. And then the people who can tricord like motherfuckers just basically sit in a place that you can't go to unless you've spent fucking months learning this shit. This is not good for a brand new player to come in. Yeah, they should get shat on by somebody that's been playing the game longer, but they should have an understanding of why. Not being like, oh, by the way, did you know that if you go into decouple and you get a car to all, you can go 30 Gs, which no other ship can fucking do. Nobody knows that shit unless they watch fucking videos or streamers or anything like that. That's shitty gameplay.
Tension is maybe switch to standard control mode and be safe.
The advantage should be is what's going on up here, not your fucking tool.
Or you can switch into quantum mode and escape. And this is going to kind of bring in an element of danger and an element of risk.
Because going into the two different modes is like a systemic thing within the ship's items.
See that, right? This is where I always say, you can see in this video how flight is going to be. Watch the 300i series burn past the Vanguard, but because it goes too fast, too furious, the Vanguard is on slow turning ability, and it can come round and it's right behind the 300, because the 300i is going, oh, I need to go fast, but then it's gone so fast that its maneuvering thrusters are like, oh, well, we can't turn around just yet, you need to slow the fuck down. And then you're still on gun bearing. See? Look at that. Brrr, fucking riddle, because you fucking didn't, or you slowed down too fast.
Like a systemic thing within the ship's items.
Look, fucking Vanguard right behind it. You know?
We actually have the opportunity now to define ship roles that can block people from escaping, either using...
I agree, the combat should be on the person and not... Yeah, exactly, Rapture. But too much is now, and it has been for years, Arrow Gladius, Talon, Cartual, every ship can't ever fight me because I can tricord super fast, and if you ever want to be irrelevant, you have to do that. But then all these people come and verse me in a fucking saber, and they get clapped by me and my wingman, you know? Because they get riddled down because they think they can do the shit and you can't do it in Hurston or Microtech and stuff like that. Well, alright, Anu, have a great day, dude. Appreciate you being here. And enjoy the criminal hunting. I look forward to seeing the videos of Winters. Everything we know is baseline because no resources. Exactly, yeah.
Devices that suppress the quantum bubble, or devices that can effectively interfere with your ability to transfer between the modes.
So what Coulson is saying here is that they're thinking on ways to have it where, like, say, an interceptor or an interdictor, whatever they decide to do, right? Changes, like, or stops you from being able to just fucking escape when you feel like it. Which means that fleet structure might actually be a thing in this game, where you go, I've got 5 people, and I'm versing whatever number, right? And right now, it's majority of the time you just go, right guys, five arrows, 5 gladius, 5 fucking Cartual. We'll shit on everyone we come across. In the future, it could be where it's like, we need a mantis, we need an interceptor. This is where like Eve Plague comes in, structurized fleets, couple of light fighters, and then maybe a heavy fighter, right? So you've got big damage, you've got like dogfighting ability, you've got, oh, they're trying to run, we can stop you from running, and oh, I've managed to lock you down so you can't warp away. We don't have this in the game right now. You have 1 mantis and then 4 light fighters and you just shit on everything, and then people either alt F4 or go hyperspace and just, you know, drift away and you can't do anything about it. I want to see structure. I want to have a reason to bring a vanguard. I want to have a reason why you would use a Cartual. A reason why you would come in a hammerhead to defend maybe slower moving ships. Stuff like that. And we just don't have this shit at all, you know? What's this one here? Let's see. When you swap to SEM, your shields will instantly blink away, but I'm now not sure if that will be viable in the... Yeah, exactly. Here we go. So Yogi even said, thank you very much for that, Villa. I appreciate that, dude. Yogi said that it's not just going to instantly change and all that jazz. Again, they're still working on design, and everyone is fucking spraffing off like they know it, and it's been designed for flight, you know? PvP in mind, racing in mind, low flying in mind, everything in flight in mind. And right now, people are just so determined that it's all about PvP, and it's not.
For example, specific ships like interceptors can be tuned such that they have a higher standard control mode speed, so they're able to catch up with people. Or, for example, make the swap between the modes faster and more efficiently, so that they could catch
Actually having roles for ships, wouldn't that be a fucking great thing, eh?
up with you, go into standard control mode and attack you more effectively as per the properties of their ship versus another ship which might not be as good at doing something like that.
This ship might be shit in a dogfight, so you let your... Say you had like the formation I said, you let your 2 dogfighters go in and dogfight, your heavy fighter bring up the rear with defend, your mantis stays at distance, and your interceptor literally hides behind everyone going, right, the moment this fucking guy tries to run, I'm gonna burn rubber, nitrous oxide, Dominic Toretto right through the fleet and get it. This is what you did in Eve. You had people tackling, you had the DPS doing the DPS stuff, you had the tank doing the tank stuff, you had the repairers doing the repair stuff, and you had support doing even more stuff in the background. Star Citizen doesn't have this. You just literally take 5 people and 5 light fighters and just shit the world.
It's something that's fundamentally changed the gameplay experience for us. And this is working now.
Now watch this. This is where you, again, if you are somebody who flies in atmosphere and you see these things. Now we don't know if this is pyro. It probably is pyro going at the landscape and the colors, right? But watch this.
And we're playing it every day.
If this is a hard atmosphere place, right? Say, because again, you can't really see. Now they're decoupled in this mode, right? But they're doing 239, and if you notice here, they're drifting around corners, having to actually turn and fly, right? Because that's the biggest thing you see with low flying, is that most of the time, And again, this is not to be disrespectful, but most low flyers literally point their nose down, go to like 200 meters a second, sit off the deck, and they're just like strafing around rocks, right? This, you actually see CIG trying to do formation flying, which again you can do at higher speeds and stuff like that, but you see that they're having to actually angle themselves in movement, which means that if they have added in dampening effect on strafes, you're not going to be able to do that old style of low flying. You're going to have to pre-turn into turns better because you're not going to be able to turn out of it.
And the difference it's made on the game for us is it's basically night and day.
Because the speeds have been limited in standard control mode, suddenly fights are a lot closer. The accelerations of ships similarly have been retuned a little bit, and their afterburner strength.
See, every time I see all these videos, now, I don't know the skill level of the guys at CIG and stuff like that. They're the guys building on it. But everything you see in this last part shows a lot more of being behind your opponent, not in this weird bubble sphere effect, right? And that's the most important thing that people need to take on to, is that we're trying to get rid of this fucking weird fight system.
Basically night and day.
Because the speeds have been
so
limited.
they pass each other in a merge, right? Or they're going into a merge, and you see that right now we're moving into a one circle, right? So the top pilot here is like this, and this pilot is like this. This is going into a one circle fight right now. They're moving in the same axes. But this one here, who we're in the cockpit with, is going to end up behind because the turn is more clean. Look, you see how now the crosshair is coming up. Their nose, they're about equal in this stage, but there's the turn, a sharper turn, and the other person is slow on the turn, guns on,
standard control mode.
And then the fly past. You would then roll opposite and go back into one circle or force two circle combat.
Closer.
There's one circle fight into nose to tail.
Similarly, have been retuned a little bit, and they're afterburn.
And then here again, you see how they're going for tail all the time. Instead of it being constantly looking at each other, you want to look into the fact that we want to be more in dogfighting situations, rolls and our turns, not our strafes.
Been retuned a little bit to make it so that you can orbit around ships and
see there, look, that is a beautiful one circle fight.
Have a lot more interesting maneuvering. And because the ranges are closer.
And then the disengage, move away, and you come behind the rear because they can't just go hyperspeed to Narnia. PvP looks so much better when we have this.
Performed by your ship have a much more significant impact because you're closer. So if I like thrust up or down, you'll immediately see the difference. So similarly, things like capital ships effectively get a buff to their offensive capabilities with this change, because suddenly you can't orbit a capital ship at high rate.
So why can't we orbit a capital at high speed? Because again, it's going to be a lot more difficult to orbit, you know? PvP is like this as today as well. Yeah, but Ondo, that's the problem. That's the mentality right there. If you know how. We don't want a game where you have to know how to do this sort of flying to have an advantage, right? The game has to be like this all the time, and it just means that you synapse better than the person you're versing. Not, I know a flight style that you don't know. Because that's what it is. When everyone talks about fucking ACO and stuff, they're doing a flight style that most general players have no idea about. The tricording system. And orbiting around people. So you can't have a game where you have to literally know the secrets of how flight works to be better at people. You should just be better. That's it.
Range and high.
You hear about OBS after SE frame tick that's circulating? OBS after... What do you mean with OBS? Are you talking about OBS the thing? Or what do you mean OBS? After SE's frame tick? Open OBS after OpenSE frames increase apparently. Open OBS after. Oh well, I've got two PC streaming lady. But yeah, that would probably make more sense. Yeah, because again, it's to do with prioritizing the CPU. You're best to open a game before you do your streams and stuff. If you're doing one PC stuff, yeah. That's what the turret gunners and engineers are for. Not everyone needs to be a top-tier dogfighter participating in the game. Exactly, Nubsy. Not really a secret to push forward. That's how to get to... No. There's a difference in what I'm saying though, Undo. You're talking about where you're seeing this and you see it when you atmosphere fight and all that jazz. I'm talking about where you can't have the orbiting factor around people, right? That's the biggest thing that I want to see gone. What you're talking about and what I'm talking about here, or showcasing here, is how I want to see this game. Where people understand the movement, but they don't have to learn the fucking secret duper, super duper fucking moves to get somewhere, right? Hey, Jace, thank you very much for the raid, dude. Appreciate that. How was Jumptown farming? Doing well, dude. We actually finally finished ATC after day 3, and Pup is down for the count, so I'm quickly going over some footage of CitizenCon to try and explain to people a bit of the changes and stuff like that. It was hella fun, nice. I'm only gonna go to Jumptown when it's at Microtech. I can't stand Yella. And it's not the speed of Yella, it's I can't see the fucking pip. Unless I massively change shaders and stuff like that, or colors. And Lyria, I can't stand the speed. It just drives me nuts. But yeah, I appreciate that, dude. Get rated! How are you doing, Basic Noodle?
High speeds.
So again, like...
you have to get a lot closer.
See
to
this,
make
right?
The turrets much more effective at shooting you. Turrets become more important and working as a group to attack
That's fucking cool.
capital ships is more important than it has been before.
Because I'm so bored of this. No joke. I'm so bored of seeing everyone just going light fighters and shitting on hammerheads and stuff. I want it to be where a hammerhead by itself is fucking weak, but if you got a fully crewed hammerhead and you go into its kill zone, you better fucking know what you're doing, or you better have you better be distraction so somebody's about to torp it, right? Because that thing was designed to obliterate fighters within its kill zone. And it doesn't.
This is a really exciting change because it allows us to keep the combat speeds relatively low, where we know that the gameplay is better for that, while also keeping the point-to-point travel speeds as high as they should be for PU.
Playing with Master Modes in Squadron 42 has
one
been a
noodle.
lot of fun, simply because it's changed the entire combat experience. Before, you'd find that you were fighting at a huge distance. Now you find that you're in really tight, close combat with the other players. I think the biggest part of this is going to be when we have the larger ships interacting with the smaller ships. Once we can have battles with big capital ships and smaller ships, we'll have brought something to the Star Citizen world that I don't think has been...
Exactly, because this is the hugest thing that you have with Star Citizen right now is big ships are worthless. Absolutely worthless. And everyone goes, oh, but it'll be fixed when fucking armor comes in. Well, imagine if armor doesn't fucking come in, right? Has anybody ever taken that into account? What happens if CIG go fuck armor, right? What are you gonna fucking do with your $1,000 fucking Space Dad spaceship fucking collection that you've been saving up for a couple of years? What are you gonna do then? You know? Are you gonna cry when the NPC fucking wrecks your big ship that you can't fucking use? No, the best thing to do is make it where light fighters get vaporized by these big ships and you start bringing big ships versus big ships. And that's it. You don't need fucking armor. Just stop making a light fighter being able to shit on everything. That's it. Simple. Let fighters fight fighters, and the moment you see a big ship that's fully crewed, you fucking run. That's it. You never saw a fucking TIE fighter shoot at a whole fucking fleet by itself. You know what I mean? Or an X-Wing. You saw people doing fucking other things, you know, in these movies. Fucking goddamn, it's like people forget all this shit. My 600i sad? Well, they're updating the 600i. You're about to get a fucking free upgrade, man. I wouldn't be sad. The X-Wing, fuck off with that shit, right? I'm talking about when you're actually fighting together. I don't care about the fucking plot armor eeping shit, right? I'm talking the fact that you never saw a fucking X-Wing sitting in front of a Death Star going, oh, shake left, shake right, oh, backstrafe, backstrafe. How your fucking shields are down, Death Star? How do you fucking feel about it now, Darth Balls? You never saw that crap. You saw it where they had to fucking put a little poop thing down a hole just to fucking make it work. It's boring. It's so boring the way combat is in Star Citizen. I want to be able to kill an Idris with my arrow. Yeah, no.
Having made these changes
I want to see where you have to bring fleet structure. You're flying around with your 5, like we're talking about it. EVE Online. You're flying around with a 5 team that can intercept people and do some damage, and then you come across a gate camp and you're like, fuck! Backup time. Sino in, everyone. Jump gates appearing. Fucking fleets coming in, and then it escalates, and it's just fucking dreads versus dreads, and fucking mums versus mums, and fucking titans versus titans, and you're sitting there in the fucking frigate going, fuck! You know what I mean? You don't get that in Star Citizen. You just see everyone warping with their fucking memes, and you go, well, this is easy. This is fucking 30 seconds for my guys in light fighters to deal with.
To implement master modes and rebalancing all of the ship speeds, we'll finally be able to define ship roles in the way that we've always wanted, and to bring a lot more variety to the gameplay that we haven't had before.
So it's been a really long.
My friend is still so angry he can't lone wolf and win all fights with his Ion anymore. I keep telling it it's not meant to be a lone wolf. A win button, he chooses to continue being angry about it. Oh, well, fuck him then. Tell him to go and buy some, you know, brown bags and blow into it and hyperventilate or whatever the fuck.
Journey here, obviously, because you've been a part of this journey. You know, and we've tried many different things over the time to try and really create the experience we want. But
again, this,
the reality
right?
is from us, it came
I
down
love how it's 176 and it actually feels pretty fast
for the players. It's about giving players the option and their choice.
And the weaving as well. Like, you actually see the fighters weave instead of just being statically, you know, strafing and stuff, which is nice.
The player choice in the game. So they're choosing.
Again, they're going like 200 meters a second. For some reason, it feels so much faster than what we've got right now.
Just giving players that freedom within the universe we have is just like, it's a really magical thing. And
I'm only average at dogfighting, so I'm interested in other roles like bombing. Exactly, dude. But you know what I mean? It's just all PvP is all about who can get into a light fighter and shit on everyone. I don't want to see that, man. I want to see hammerheads, Idris. I want to see it where you're on the ground and instead of one ballista by itself, you know, it's got fucking tanks and shit like that, and you're not just dropping your A2s and your vehicles right on the site. You're maybe fucking dropping off because you ain't gonna just fly, drop and run and drop ship vehicles from midair and stuff like that, you know? Make it feel fast, even in space. Well, the easiest way to do that is... Yeah, exactly, Veshkan. Like, if you guys ever played before 3.0, it felt so fast going 300 meters a second because the dust would come in, and the thing is that when you were stationary, the dust would be floating around you, and then when you moved left, it went... Oh, it was so good when they did that. But they just fucking shit-canned that stuff for some reason. Well, no, it's not that. I do a lot of low-flying Lucifer, right? And there's a big difference in going what speed they're doing to what we have right now. It's very slow if I was to do these speeds. But this is actually looking pretty fast, which means that it's... The SEM speed says it's going slower, but visibly it's going faster, if that makes any sense to people, right? So the calculations of the ships are slowed, but the visuals of the ship are going faster, which could mean, like, again in space, they add more space dust to basically blinker you in. And we know that they've visibly slowed down this game over time. Hey, Alpha.
We try many times to control that as, you know, as designers to try and get a specific experience at some point. But we always end up coming back to the fact, let's just give the players the choice and let them make the key decisions. And we'll design the balance around that.
We finally have it. So we're now nailing down the space combat experience for Star Citizen, specifically for Squadron 42. We know from internal playtest that the master mode stuff works. We know that it works with our flight retunings, and it's very...
Again, we had this all before it got taken away. It wasn't called, you know, you weren't switching these modes, but if anyone remembers, it was preset or PRE, SEM, and then cruise. And cruise got you up to speed and it played all that, you know what I mean? No. What they're talking about is just the way ships behave, right? Because they've made it Ondo, right? And obviously their priority right now, sadly, is Squadron 42. But you know what I mean? Once they've built the system, then they basically have to go through, right, well, what's it like Arrow versus Gladius? Let's balance out this way. What's Arrow versus Saber? Let's see what it's like with that. And get the data that way of all the ships that are maybe not in Squadron 42. So I wouldn't be concerned about it for PvP, and because again, the PV or the single player aspect of it is more that they will be thinking more for the multiplayer and not the single player. It's just it's going to work in the single player version, right?
Very exciting. It will yet take...
It doesn't, Nubsly, but we do know that they want to refactor in Radar. I do know that Coulson, Yogi are all big DCS World fucking fans. So we may see where low flying or low altitude flying, depending on radar scenarios or locations and stuff, might actually be a thing. I don't think you're going to see it where it'll confuse missiles and all that jazz, you know what I mean, like Top Gun and shit. Maybe, who knows. But for me, they could have it where under terrain flight does have a huge advantage in modern day, because it's very difficult to track things to missile them if they're under detection range, right?
Take a while to ship this to the PU because the amount of...
And it'd be great for scouts to low fly over another, like, so here we go, Shadow Moses, right? I'm spitballing names here, right? So we've got, because of obviously the previous video, Shadow Moses versus Liberty Reapers. Liberty Reapers owns an outpost on whatever location. It's making a lot of money, and Shadow Moses have beef with Liberty Reapers. Again, this is just an example of the two orgs in the previous video, and they're wanting to fight. Shadow Moses wants to take the land. How do they go about it to begin with? Well, they're not going to just warp their whole fleet in without any intel and stuff like that. It just doesn't happen like that. So imagine you have terrain where somebody can low fly or fly low, depending on how it works, and they can quickly fly past and pretty much take like as much information as they can, data, scanning, whatever the fuck, and you have to get there close, and then they pull out, they've got maybe some fighters chasing after them, and then reinforcements can come and deal with that. That's the scenario right there where it would be great to be able to use that sort of tactic to scout the area, maybe see what the AA defenses are like, and then you can prioritize how you're going to do about it. Because right now you just go, fuck it, A2, brr, all of this ballistas, quadruple flare, brr, A2 nukes, fucking, that's it. That's the gameplay loop right now. Or you bring in like 10 light fighters and just shit on everything. And you don't want it to be like that. You want it to be where AA is scary. You want it to be where defenses are scary. You want it to be where like patrols on your outposts are required. So somebody can't sneak in undetected and stuff like that. Because right now you just warp to locations. But if there are player-owned locations, you might not have the ability to warp into it. We don't know these things. Again, I'm just massively throwing out a copium spitball. But it would be nice to actually have proper radar system where you can use the terrain to cancel it out.
The amount of ships you fly in Squadron 42 is rather limited, whereas in Star Citizen we have about...
I think you'll see this very soon, actually, Nubsly, because again, if you're slowed down to under SEM speed, or SEM and under, to actually fire your weapon systems, right? Or come out of QCM. Now, you could low fly in with QCM. You can't afterburn, but I've shown many times that I've low flied high speed without afterburner use, and you can do it if you pre-turn, right? So if that got you under radar, but if you're having to drop bombs and stuff and you're having to come out of QCM, there's where AA is very valuable, you know? Hey, Lakin, how you doing, Chief? We'll just have to see how it goes, but I definitely feel that CIG are on the right pace to bring us the Star Citizen experience of war and drama, you know, and anything else that goes into the game.
I don't know, more than 100 ship records at the moment. But the whole hard problem of designing this thing in the first place is over. We just need to get the numbers in now.
Yeah, so there we go. Where Ondo says I'm concerned to me, but I hope I'm wrong. They've got the design phase in. Now it's just literally fine-tuning it like a motherfucker. So when Virgil was saying on the podcast, we need it in now. No, we don't. We don't. Let them do the numbers. Hey, thank you very much for the 4 months, dude. I appreciate that. Hey, Jukes, it goes well, actually. Thank you for asking. Let them dial in the numbers now. Let them polish it off. Let them put it into the game like a really good system. So 6 to 9 months, please. Do not rush them on this. Let's not go round again in circles because we need content. We need to play the game. No. We need to be able to play the game for years. And I'm so bored about going in fucking squiggly circles on a whiteboard all the time because nobody at CIG knows what the fuck to do. Best let them just redo it, let them have time to polish it out, and then when we get it, we can give them feedback on certain things that we've spotted that they don't spot, and they can do changes there and then. But let's not force it out where it's out within like 3 months and stuff for testing. It'll just be a fuckery. Dial it in correctly. There's nothing on the roadmap for 3.19, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see. My guess would be early 3.19 for this system. That still gives them technically 6 months, right? Technically, yeah. Yeah, nearly 6 months for 3.19. Because I don't think we're gonna get 3.19 in Q1 next year. I think it'll go to Q2 personally. I think we're going to get multiple 3.18 patches. But I could be wrong, you know? But that's just how it feels for me. After that, we get the PvP slider added as a sprint. Dude, you ain't getting a PvP slider. Shut the fuck up. Any amount of crying will not do anything. They have things planned out. That is how a company functions. Exactly. It's nice to see CIG finally going, fuck you guys, this is how we're building it. That's it. Sorry, don't bother coming with your Avenger 1, Jonathan Winters, Shadow Moses, you know, we need this, we need that, blah, blah, blah. They're just going to say fuck off now. But if you come back and say, right, this is massively unbalanced, they'll change it, you know, they'll work on it. But we're not going to get any more chances of them changing how the system goes, right? You're just going to have to adapt and rodeo it out. Are they not pushing for 4.0 after 3.18 or am I dreaming? Again, we don't know when they're gonna put 4.0. Taco, you know what I mean? They have it where it goes 3.18, 3.19, 3.20, 3.21. 4.0 takes over one of those numbers. We just don't know. You know? Stop listening to whiners. Well, it's not so much whiners. Like, I would never say people that I named off are whining. It's more, they want the game to be a certain way, and I understand that. But there's a certain point where you just need to sit the fuck down, and if you're not going to develop it yourself, write it. And that's it, okay? Because I agree with everything that, you know, like Virgil and Winters were saying, that this current system is absolutely shit. But if we keep saying to CIG that it's shit, and we don't just go, right, this actually makes sense, let's just play it this way, any cheese, tell them about the cheese, hopefully it can sort the cheese, and we actually get a game to play. If not, kiss goodbye to ever playing Star Citizen. There has to be a point where we all just simmer the fuck down and play the game. And accept the game for what it's going to be. Not, oh, in my dreams, I thought it was going to be like this. Well, guess what? Dreams don't come true all the time, okay? You can definitely make them aware of stuff, but no major changes. Yeah, and I think this is where CIG are sort of saying that in a much nicer way than I'm saying it, Veshkan, where they're saying, this is how we're building it. If you don't like it, get fucked. That's how it sounds to me in so many words. But if you find stuff that is broken, make us aware and we will balance it out to try and make it better. But we're not going to change how the system is. You're going to be stuck with these master modes. Get fucking used to it. Stop making Spectrum phones that this is going to ruin the game. You don't know until you actually play it, or you're not somebody that's been here before when we used to have some of these systems and it was actually pretty good, you know? This is the biggest part that people need to do as backers. You back the game, you funded the game, you put money into it, but it doesn't give you any right to fucking say how this game goes, you know? Well, I wouldn't go on roadmap, Olard, right? Okay? Because again, they can slot 4.0 in whenever, and Yogi was saying they're doing this for Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is 2 years, dude. Well, there's your sort of like timeline, right? For 4.0. Maybe. Again, it's so fucking like, nobody has any clue. It's always 2 years, exactly.
And all the footage you've seen today is from Squadron. It's all currently playable in the game. That internally, we're playing this every day. We're still making some tweaks, but everything is there right now.
I love the fucking S-roll here.
It's all about the foundational kind of tweaks that we're making, and we can't wait to get it in your hands.
So thanks a lot for listening to us today. We're very, very excited to get the changes to you as soon as possible. And yeah, we'll hope to see you fighting in the verse.
Again, you can see with the movements that there is a lot of thing. And for me, from my personal experience on Daymar, and I genuinely don't believe anyone has more experience on Daymar than I do. And you can see with how the vehicle is moving, there is a huge element of drift at slow speeds, which is really, really nice. Which means that the main thrusters are outpowering the maneuvering thrusters, which is so good. Where the fuck is it again? I can spot the wee thumbnail, but here we go. Again, you see the drift
of the ship, but it also enables the shield to be turned on the player to do these things in this mode. And what this does is
like high speed maneuvering and traversal mechanics that we had before, but in these distinct modes that are integrated with lore and integrated with the ship functions, such that there's costs and payoffs for being in each of the two modes.
So let's start with standard control mode and what this means. So this is the mode that we...
Again here, you can see that this ship is constantly drifting and trying to counter
tends
itself.
To be the functional mode of the ship, whether it's combat or mining or any of these...
This is a big drift. And at 154, even with this ship, you should never be drifting out like this.
Things the ship does. We want the player to do these things in this mode.
And most of the time, these videos are from Leica and... K Winter and stuff, and these guys can actually play the game, you know. Let's see here, the conversion from about 319 or 320 and stuff people look at as religious. Yeah, exactly. The best thing to do is just accept it, that it's coming, but there's no time, you know. Yeah, I think so as well, Shepard. It's nice to see, like, for me, again, and I say this from my point of view, it kind of feels like CIG are like, right, this is how we're building it. If you don't like it, fuck you. They're not saying that in so many words, but it's nice to actually feel like this is where it's going. You know? We've built this new system, master modes. It's for Squadron 42. We know that Squadron 42, they want to be out within 2 years, 2 or 3 years. We're not going around in any more circles. If you don't like it, you know what? We've got your money. There's nothing more we can do about it. We can't make you happy. Sorry.
And what this does is it reduces the speed of the ship.
Wiggling will be removed, Veshkan. You see it in this video how much it's dampened, right? And obviously this is on Daymar, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to remember that there's no atmosphere effect in Star Citizen at all. It is basically the system, the flight system changes for, depending on height on a certain planet, changes out how the percentage of the thrusters actually work. So when you go into a light atmosphere, it barely dampens your systems. And when you go into a hard atmosphere, it massively dampens your systems. So imagine you go into a hard atmosphere right now. It's very, very difficult to wiggle. Because when you move left, it's very difficult to turn right. Or push right, strafe right. And they show you in this video. And the same thing could be for space, where it might be just a little less on the dampening field. But atmosphere shows you what dampening is like in Star Citizen right now. It just depends on what they do with the numbers and so forth. And that was how you're going to get it in space as well, you know?
And obviously the intent...
Well, that's HP on the 600i lady, right? We know it's 29k total HP. It's a fucking joke. But they're making the ship bigger. They're doing full interior works. You're about to see it be a lot more powerful. I would probably put it to Carrack spec very soon. Because it's got it's meant to have a medical bay as well.
Behind this is where you do your combat. It's where the guns are on, the missiles can be armed.
I mean, a Gladius will be able to still kill you in this system, lady, but if you've got a gunner, that Gladius is going to die before you ever break shields. You know? Yeah, it's 29k HP. Most people don't realize this. So the 600i is scuffed, and it's been scuffed for over 2 years now, where it still overheats its engines. Its capacitor system numbers are completely off. It's got 29k total HP, where it's only got like 10 or something like that on the rear, or 5 on the rear. So once you take off the back engines, it just spins around and flops around, you know? At one point it was OP. It was only OP because there was no other way to fight against it, right? It's the same with everything in Star Citizen. OP is only when there's something that's not able to counter it. But yeah, the 400i has the proper flight system of the 600i for speed, because the 600i in lore is meant to be the fastest of the Origin line, okay? So it's meant to outrun 400i's like it's nothing. But it doesn't, because it's just scuffed beyond belief. It's just not being worked on. And the reason it's not being worked on is, well, they're doing a full interior change, and it's probably going to change in size as well, you know?
And fired, and all the kind of operational things the ship does operates within.
So we see here, right, Yogi turns about. This is where we're talking about Veshkan with the removing of wiggle. Watch this, dude, right?
Because that
so he shows off that this thing fucking accelerates stupidly in forward speed, right? There we go. Fucking 15 G's forward, and then the moment you un-afterburner, you're back to SEM speed, right?
As it was before. You can
because again, you're not going to be able to, like, right now you can SEM speed and afterburner, but that's not going to be the effect in this game unless you lock your speeds down and stuff like that, which would defeat a bit of the ability to go over slightly over SEM to be a little bit more maneuverable in certain aspects of the game. But it's more primary on your main thruster, right? Because again, the strafes going up and down are very low. And the funny thing is, he doesn't show this with afterburner or not. So 3.2 G's going down, right? This is the big thing.
As it was before.
He's doing 4 down with afterburner, or not with afterburner, but then you have 15 going forward. And they literally say that forward is the main thrust, and it's got a negative effect on everything else, including backwards. When you see this next video here, you see the ship pull to the left quite fast for not going forward.
When you're trying to boost backwards.
But then it dampens as it tries to turn back. Look at it, see? It takes a wee while to be like, right, we've got to the speed, now we've got to push to get back, okay? But then watch when he fires the main thrust. Watch the line move, right?
Variation in the day-to-day dock.
See it? It's very, very subtle, but the moment he's strafing to the right and he pulls it, there's this drift forward. Now, if you can do this in the game right now, where you're just strafing, you can then just go forward. There's barely any fucking drift. But you can see that the angle of the ship starts to go like that, forward. Which means that, again, in combat, depending on what it's like, if it's like this in space, you're not going to be able to just use your strafes to get around. Well, yeah, it's kind of like simulating mass. We don't know if it's actually an equation in the game. You won't know that until you actually get into the files. But you can see visibly here with what they're working on. And again, it's work in progress, so you just take it as a grain of salt. But you can see the drift, especially when they're low flying at certain speeds. They're drifting around corners, which means the main thrusters are not, or the maneuvering thrusters are not out countering the main thrust. So if you put too much thrust, you're pretty much just going in a straight line and you're going to slowly arc, right? You need to use the main all the time, and thrusters are for parking rotation, which makes sense. Exactly. But right now we have it where if you use main thruster and then you afterburner with your strafes, you're fucking doing this shit. Which means that a light fighter can then just basically get here on a medium fighter, and there's not a goddamn fucking thing you can do about it. However, if they make it where you've got these things, the main thruster, you're trying to hold your speeds. Because if you're trying to stay like this, right, you've only got a certain amount of G's to hold. The other person here goes, well, you're above me, fucking out, does a good arc and comes back, and you're now like, well, you're only fucking 200 meters a second towards my fucking Hornet. And you're gone. And you see it here when they show off the fighting, right? Watch this with the Vanguard.
Systems, mode.
Everything has to spool up and change.
You should be just bringing it.
Right. So watch this. Again, I showed this earlier on just in case people are coming in. You've got
this is gonna kind of bring it.
The engagement here with a 300i, right? doing the nose-to-nose bullshit like you have right now in Star Citizen, and then the 300i is like, holy fuck, my shields are down, time for me to run. But watch how whoever is in the 300i puts too much thrust forward and outplaces himself. And the fucking Vanguard here just rotates to turn around and then starts going forward afterwards. Watch. So he pushes, and unlike in the other, or in our current system, you would be on the back end of the Vanguard already, right? Because you can just upstrafe, fucking tricord into position, even with a 300i, yippity do that, right? Watch this. Look how much out of place by turning around slowly, but they've gone forward. Like look how the 300i is completely out of position because it's not able to fucking tricord back into position. And this is where a lot of people are like, oh, we're still going to be able to fight how we do fight. And I don't believe you are. I think you're going to have to make choices. Do I maneuver myself away from the fight to counter back in and stuff? Because you can't counter with tricord. You cannot, yeah. Because if the main thruster outpowers the side thrusters and the up thruster, you can't tricord. You can, I mean, you can still tricord, but you're going to be more primary going forward than this ability to do this sort of motion, right? You can pretty much use forward and side to like sort of side strafe because you have pretty powerful up thrust. So if you basically turn your nose right, strafe left, strafe up and stuff, good pilots are going to be better in my opinion. Yes, exactly. Good pilots will always be good pilots, but right now, sadly, there's a lot of cheese in Star Citizen that allows you to learn a very sort of simple method. It does require a bit of effort to get into it, but you know what I mean? You learn how to tricord, and literally anyone who doesn't know how to tricord, you just shit on them. It's not because you're a better pilot, it's because you've learned something that they don't have access to. And this needs to go. It needs to be where you are a better pilot because you know what you're doing, not I know how to fucking make my ship do stupid G's and you don't. That is stupid. That is bad gameplay. And this just makes it more where dogfighting ends up to be dogfighting, because dogfighting is just about outsmarting somebody, not I've got this fucking... It's like saying, you know what I mean, like a car to all right now. A car to all is like a fucking F-22 going up against a fucking, you know, F-18 Hornet. And literally the F-8 Hornet can't fucking even compromise how the movement is done, right? And this is where that is real world unbalanced shit. This is a video game. If we wanted unbalancedness and stuff like that, everyone flies the F-22, right? Nobody flies the F-18. But we want everyone's ship to mean something in this game. You're not going to be able to... You're not going to be able to maybe do certain things that other ships can do better, but the fact is that you're going to... This will or close the gap on, instead of you have your 4 fucking shit on... Or 4 shit on everything fighters. Let's include the Talon as well. So Arrow, Gladius, Car-to-All, Talon. Everything else under the fighter situation, we're not going to heavy fighters like Hurricane, but Hornet, Saber, Buccaneer, Defender, anything like this just gets shat on. Oh yeah, Blade, I forgot about it. So there's 5, right? So there's 5 of these shit on everything fucking ships, and then you've got other ships that just can't be used right now because they don't do anything. And everyone's like, oh, but when we get armor, it'll work. No, it won't be. Armor just means you don't die as much or as fast as you do just now. But if something sits in a fucking bubble on you, it still kills you. It just takes longer. Adding in HP doesn't mean that you're going to suddenly magically fucking win the fight. It means you're still getting outplayed, you know? So I would massively rather have this game where when you decide to fly away and you're like, oh, I'm losing this turn fight, I'm losing this rate fight, I'm gonna fly away. You can't just go, ha! Tricked you, now I'm behind you kind of stuff. You're gonna have to fly away and then play the game again. You're going to have to then engage in the merge, because we have merges which just fucking rotate around constantly in space and in atmosphere, and it's boring as fuck. When people cry about jousting, jousting is a valid tactic to go into the merge. So I would love it where we joust, merge, fight into the rate or the radius, and if you start losing, you move back out to bring it back into the merge and then choose a different way of doing it. Not just, haha, surprise, now you can't fucking get away from me because I'm stuck to you like a satellite orbiting around you. Fuck that gameplay. That is shit. Absolutely shit. Get rid of that right now. And this is where it looks like they're going with that stuff. Get rid of the fucking orbiting bullshit. Scythe and Glaive and stuff will hopefully be improved. But you see how the Vanguard here still has the advantage over a lighter fighter than it. Obviously, it's not classed as a light fighter, it's called whatever, you know, a multi-bloody. But the Vanguard here shows you that it's able to get round and start beaming. And if it's got a gunner here, this fucking fighter is dead. Absolutely fucking dead if there was a gunner in this situation, right? You are dead by this one bad turn, or the fact that you've pushed past...
Going into the two different modes.
And you're trying to turn and you've stalled her. You've stalled her in space right now. You've literally created so much low energy that they tried to turn and pull away, but this Vanguard is already on your ass because you've misfired. And this is so cool to see. That even a Vanguard will be able to shit on an arrow if you time it correctly. And everyone will be like, oh, but we'll just fly around in Vanguards with gunners. No, because again, free fighters, this Vanguard is stationary against that shit, right? Because you have somebody bait and make this thing spin around slowly, and the other two people are just stationary going, brrr. We do it in atmosphere all the time. Literally watch this.
We actually have the...
Let me have, if I can bring it up here. Where the fuck is that video of clapping these guys? Let's do page up. Watch this. Try and find this video. This was the other day when we're fighting 7 people with 3 sabers. I think this is it, right? Yeah. Maybe it's... Oh, is it deleted? They deleted the VOD. Never mind. It looks like they deleted the VOD. Oh, it's funny. I gotta laugh when fucking people delete VODs. Even on YouTube and shit like that. Ah, my god. So scared to be shown at least. I'm gonna keep this one in my private folder for, yeah, these sort of things. It's here. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this for just in case anybody talks about it. Even against NPCs and medium and heavy fighters are a bit rough. Yeah, they need to have a reason, right? Sold to a gamer coffee brand who wanted the mailing list. Alright, I'm missing a conversation. In space, wouldn't decouple not slow you down? No, you wouldn't slow down. Against the idea here, guys, is people need to let go of the mentality that they're in space. You're in a video game and they have to balance it out. You can't have it where people are going super speed and other people are not, you know? Interesting, so decouple is not like true physics and direction. No, it's not going to be. It's just going to be where... The easiest way to look at couple and decouple for the future is couple is with the very fancy car running the computer, and decouple would be where you're, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're in your fancy Mercedes with the computer, and the fucking decouple is in the same car with it turned off. That's the easiest way to look at it, alright? But they're going to be pretty much the same sort of systems. Light will not be met in the next flight order since you cannot take a punch. Yeah, but this is where I was talking about, Veshkan, is where a good fleet, say you got 5 people, would be Mantis or Interdictor, an Interceptor to stop people getting away, 2 light fighters, and then maybe a heavy fighter. Or you go in for 2 heavies, 1 light, you know what I mean? So you have it where the Interceptor and the light deal with stragglers trying to run away, and you have the heavies brawl it out a bit more with turret play and stuff. And the Mantis just stays the fuck away from everyone and uses range. It's going to be so good. It means that you will actually have to do fleet structure. instead of always being in the same ships. It's the same with me and the guys when we go to Hurston. Free sabers, you know? We never go, all right, we'll need this for another reason. No, because free sabers literally shits on anything that comes into play. But the other day there, we're flying around with 2 sabers and an Eclipse, and it was actually pretty fun, you know? The days of one too many victories are soon to be over. It just gets to the stage where your top tier pilots are always going to be top tier, right? But it means that a lot of pilots who are classed as top tier, when they can't do cheesy mechanics, we'll see if they're actually classed as top tier, right? Because, again, I'm not going to put names down, because I'm always going to give people the chance to prove themselves and shit like that. But I know a lot of pilots who come in, play the game, and the moment the flight model changes to something they don't enjoy, they disappear and go and play other games for months and years. And then when the cheese is back in Star Citizen, they magically return to the game. Let's see what happens when the cheese is gone if they decide to go for fucking walkies again, right? Because it always happens. Always happens. 1 versus 1 is 1 versus 1, which we all enjoy, but I, for one, will be in a Scorpius because it has over 40 turns. That's my filter? What do you mean, 40 turns? Can't go under 40? I think the Scorpius will be a lot better if they actually just sorted out some of the HP on it, you know? And the flares, right? I would love to use like a Scorpius and a Hurricane. Personally. I would love to be in these kind of ships. Or even a Vanguard, you know? I don't necessarily need to be the sweaty light fighter. It's just nothing else is relevant right now, which is sad. I can't stand going 30 like Hurricane or Vanguard. What do you mean 30? I can't stand going 30 like Hurricane. Rotation. Alright. Yeah, but again, you have no idea what it's going to be like in Thingybob, right? I understand for now, if you're talking about now, but I'm always talking about future gameplay. I just don't give a shit about Star Citizen right now. Or the current flight system and stuff. Anywho, that is us for today. We've gone over this. We had a great time watching the video from Salty Mike. Really good video. I highly suggest you guys go and check it out. Let me see if I've still got the ability to drop it here. No, I don't. Let me just take this link here. So again, this is the link to Salty Mike's video. Really good panel. Again, I still think that Virgil and Space Cutler are more on page of where this game is going than anyone else. But again, we'll see how everything changes and stuff. Again, it's all speculations, all that jazz. Now, we will hopefully be back to playing Star Citizen tomorrow. Actually playing the game, not just talking about it. And at Jump Town. However, I will say this to you guys, that I'm really not interested in going to Lyria, but I might do just for something to do. I'm more interested in the Calliope one on Microtech, because it means I can take the Saber and actually use it. Which would be very nice. But yeah, that's been good. I mean, we've managed to get free shows out of it with Salty Mike stuff. And, yeah, very nice. Who do we have? Who do we have? Who's this? Who do we go to, chat? Who do we go to? You're welcome, dude. You're welcome. Let's go to Space Mail. Like, you got Loads of people like Morphologist in Overwatch, Salty Mike's in Victoria. Gallifear just started. Actually, no, let's go to Gallifear. He literally just fucking booted it up. Yeah. Let's go to the man, the Viking himself, Gallifear Games, and enjoy his content. I would imagine he's going to go and do some jump tower and combat and stuff. We'll be doing it tomorrow, guys. Hopefully I can get a squad together. If not, we'll just fucking meme around and see how it goes, you know. Bring out the F-22 and start playing rough. Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate your time. Reformed, Lakin, Olenord, Veshkan, Ashlonutty, everyone else, guys. Thank you for being here. And I will see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one, guys. Chris, take care. Charmaine, see you guys. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Enjoy Jump Town. Changeover tomorrow as well. Ikers, take care, guys. Again, go and check out that Salty Mike video. It's really good. Mixed opinions. And hopefully we'll be able to find another podcast to do again in the future.